It is the final day of the NFL preseason league-wide. The Patriots played their preseason finale on Thursday. They've already begun roster cuts, letting 14 players go at the end of last week. They need to be down to 53 players from 90 by Tuesday at 4 p.m. We'll have updates on Patriots roster cuts throughout the week on 98.5thesportshub.com. College football season began yesterday with Week 0. Games included number 22 Iowa State beating number 17 Kansas State 24-21 in Dublin, Ireland. Hawaii also had a comeback win to beat Stanford 23-20. And on the final day of the Tour Championship, there's a tie atop the leaderboard. Patrick Cantlay and Tommy Fleetwood both at 16 under heading into the final 18 holes. Russell Henley just behind them at 14 under, and then Keegan Bradley at 13 under. Leaders teeing off just before 2 o'clock. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Veterinary Urgent Care Center with 8 locations in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. VUCC offers compassionate, convenient, and high-quality care 7 days a week. Walk in or book an appointment at veturgentcare.com. Veterinary Urgent Care Center. Urgent care for your pet's urgent needs. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 11 o'clock.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Kaboom.
Yeah. It's a buddy. Oh.
We've got a passion for Boston sports.
Get angry.
98.5 The Sports Hub. In this town, sports happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Line into right field. Anthony on approach. He's got it, and the Red Sox win this one going away. 12-1 the final. They blow out the Yankees in Game 3. They have won the series. Tomorrow they go for the sweep. And as mentioned, 8-1 head-to-head against the Yankees.
Well, the offensive explosion, obviously late. They did enough. Good fundamentals early, right? A couple of sac flies, gutting guys in. But the story of this one's really Garrett Crochet does it again. Goes 7 innings for the 12th time this year. He just continues to dominate. You got an ace, and now you go for the sweep.
Crochet now 14-5.
All right, welcome in. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5 The Sports Hub on the air and on YouTube this morning. Good morning to everybody on the web. Alex, how are you?
What's up, Mark? How you doing?
Doing well. I feel good. Football season is coming. I'm excited. A lot of things in New England. It's going to be very interesting this fall. We'll get into that, but we're going to start with the Red Sox. Big win yesterday. Unfortunately, though, I'm not feeling the way I feel like I want to feel. How do you feel about the Red Sox right now based on what they're doing in the Bronx?
I feel pretty good in the sense that this is the time of year where the Red Sox have kind of tapped out the last few years. And we didn't really get a down-the-stretch baseball season. This series, as lopsided as it's been, I mean, going into it, the anticipation, this is the biggest Red Sox-Yankee series since when, Mark? I would say at least since they met. Right, that playoff one game in 2021, biggest regular season series since probably that year between these two teams, and we're getting it in late August. So I love that we have a baseball season getting late into it. How much does it ultimately account for, or how much will it ultimately mean? I don't know. I still have my questions about the Red Sox in the playoffs, but I what they're giving us right now is a good product and a fun product, and we're getting to really, sink our teeth in with this team. So I feel pretty good coming off a drubbing of the Yankees. How can you not? We'll see what it ultimately amounts to, but the whole question really since they went on that run in mid-June has been, is this team actually different? We've seen them kind of have these little runs and then fall apart and then ultimately finish the season 500. That's been the story the last 3 years. Is this team actually different? And I think things feel a little different right now, which is encouraging to me. It's not me saying they're going to win the World Series, but it does feel different than it's felt those last miserable few years.
It does feel different. And I want to feel different. I want to feel all the things that you're supposed to feel when your team is doing well, when they're beating their rival, when they're winning 3 of 3 in New York, going for 4 of 4. And I thought about this yesterday. I talked about it yesterday, and it's continued to just kind of creep in and onward and upward, and I just can't do it. And I just can't do it. And I'm just so upset that this is the situation that they're in, because I cannot get over the fact that they have not still gone all into becoming or rediscovering what they were. And I just can't get over it. It might be a me problem. Maybe I need to settle down. Maybe you need to put me in my place. Maybe I need to get my ass in gear and just enjoy the ride that they're on and try to block out some of the frustrations that we have had either earlier in the season or in years past, recent years past. But I can't do it. Okay, I can't do it because I am too concerned that this team is now just figuring out, best case scenario, they are figuring out how to become the Tampa Bay Rays. Or they're figuring out how to become one of these teams that doesn't spend all the money they could spend, but they've found ways to win. They have found ways to win because for years, we saw it in Oakland with Moneyball. We saw it with Tampa. They made the World Series, Alex. They won every year. They were always involved, but they didn't do what you need to do to win it all. And I'm worried that we're all letting this team, the Boston Red Sox, off the hook, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. This team needs to act and behave like a team actually contending for a World Series. They do it in spurts. It's been a little bit better. Crochet, Bregman. So it's a little bit better, but it's still not all the way there. All the way there is going at the trade deadline, understanding you're right there for a championship if you get the piece, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it once again, and I can't get over it. I can't get past it. Again, maybe that's my problem. Maybe you're listening disgusted with me. Disgusted me. You just enjoy this. They're about to sweep the Yankees. They're playing well. They've bounced back. They've made the Yankees look pathetic. Enjoy it. Shut up. Well, I can't, okay? Because all I can think about is what they need to do. We were around for 20 years. We watched it.
Yeah.
We know what they need to do to win a World Series. We saw how it works. Okay, it's the same. We've seen the Dodgers do it recently. We've seen all these teams do it. They go all in, they get talent, and the organization is operating with the same level of intensity as the players, the manager, everybody, and I don't see it here. I still don't see the organization, the front office, doing what they need to do. And they could have, and they blew it, and I think it's going to come back to bite them. I know the World Series is a high, high bar, but they are there to do whatever they want, and they didn't do enough. And I can't get over it, and I'm not going to let them off the hook until I see everything, top to bottom, acting and behaving like a World Series contender, a true World Series contender like we used to see, because all I see right now is a team that's doing well, they're winning, but they're finding ways to become the Rays. They spend not to the amount they could, but they find ways to win with guys you've never heard of, and they're a nice story, and they go on nice runs, and that is not good enough. I am not letting them off the hook. It's fun. I'll enjoy it when I see a good video on Twitter, I'll enjoy it. Great home run, Roman Empire. I'll enjoy it. And then I come back to where I am, and that's where I am. So maybe it's my fault. Maybe you can convince me otherwise, but that's where I am. They could have done more. They didn't, and now we're stuck, and eventually it's going to bite them.
Yeah, look, I don't think any of that's new. I mean, it's been their approach going back to the end of the 2019 season, that they're trying to be a Moneyball team like the Rays or the A's. We've known that. You look at the game yesterday, you hope that game in this series kind of starts to turn the tide the other way, and what they say has to be taken with a grain of salt, because they say a lot of things and not all of them come true, but they've talked about wanting to be more competitive. You look at the guys who were big for them yesterday. Garrett Crochet, like you mentioned, big-time contract. Alex Bregman drove in what was a key run at the time. It obviously ends up becoming whatever because they score 7 runs in the ninth. Trevor Story had a monster game yesterday. These are guys that they've paid for. They're definitely not spending as much as they could. I do wish they'd done more with the bullpen at the deadline, and we were sweating it out in that, what was at one point a 4-3 game on Thursday night. And they had the back end of their bullpen for that one. It wasn't one where they had to rest Chapman. We were sweating it out, obviously, on Friday night in the 1-0 game. You get into that game yesterday. Remember, it was still sort of close until the end. It was 5-1, and it's like, all right, Chapman's not available. They're warming up Hicks. If he allows runs, what happens? The offense goes off, so it doesn't matter. And despite what Matt McCarthy says, I do think that game was Jordan Hicks proof by the time he got on the mound there with an 11-run lead. When it does come to an end for them, like you said, World Series, a lofty goal. I think the American League's relatively wide open. So getting there, I don't know that I'd pick them, but it wouldn't surprise me the most. The National League's another deal. When it does come to an end for them, because I don't think this season ends with the title, it probably is going to be being an arm or two short in the bullpen. They got very lucky that Nathaniel Lowe had whatever happened in Washington, that he was available. He's been huge for them. So far, they've when I say managed around, I don't mean in the literal sense of Alex Hort. Well, a little bit, but like I can't think of another term, but they've operated around some of the shortcomings at the deadline. The offense has helped out. They've gotten Chapman's been excellent. The depth of the bullpen hasn't been exposed too much outside of that one game against Baltimore. So they've moved around that. You're not going to have as much ability to do that in the playoffs. But the whole thing about, I'm not going to enjoy it because of their approach, I don't know. Maybe it's my fault for being too numb to it. I've come on and complained about their analytics driving the bus as much as anybody. I am not an analytics guy. Big picture, any sport, I'm generally pretty anti-analytics. At this point, when you have Garrett Crochet, a real ace, out there on the mound, when you have guys like Alex Bregman, Trevor Story, I know Roman Anthony's not a big contract, but like a top prospect in baseball, they weren't fielding major league lineups at this time of year for the past couple of years. Guys who get hurt, my issue with their spending hadn't as much been that they're not spending these top dollar contracts. They didn't have enough major league players. They were playing guys out of position. They were playing guys who clearly shouldn't have been up. They were playing guys they were picking up from international leagues, spur of the moment. So I don't know. Maybe I just got so dulled to it that I'll celebrate the progress. But this is a representative product. Regardless of how they got here, I think this is more or less a representative product right now. We'll see what Dustin May does tonight. I didn't love that move on the deadline. Kind of on the fence with that one. He's been up and down since he got here. But outside of the back end of their rotation, it's a representative. In the back end of their bullpen, not back end, but like bottom of their bullpen, it's a representative product, which is a lot more than we can say. So I still want them to be the big market team that's in on every trade and in on every trade. And that doesn't mean making everyone, but we should constantly hear, well, I guess we do hear every time a player is available, the Red Sox are interested, but it should amount to something more than it's doing right now. I'm with you on that. I do feel like they've come a ways from where they were in that regard the last couple of years with this team. Still have a ways to go. I still want to see them get back to being who they are, but I think they've taken a step in the right direction, and I think it's showing because, again, the last few years, this time of year, Mark, we would have opened Patriots. We would have done maybe half an hour on the Red Sox today, probably just of the courtesy of it being a Red Sox-Yankees series. They would have been 65-65, 2 games out of a playoff spot, trending in all the wrong directions, and we would have known it. But here we are on August 24th talking about the Red Sox as a legitimate playoff team. It's been a long time since we could do that.
Okay, so maybe this is what it is. Maybe they just need to be better at the trade deadline. And hey, maybe Nathaniel Lowe he'd be the ALCS MVP. I don't know. But they need to be better at the trade deadline or something else because there is still something missing in terms of being that team that they used to be, that some of the championship teams still are, that they need to be more aggressive when the chance to strike is there and they haven't done it. Yes, they've been better. Their roster is now representative, okay? I'll admit that, and I've enjoyed that. I've really liked. By the way, isn't Aroldis Chapman, unless I'm missing these conversations, he's a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Aroldis Chapman is, and just to something you just said before we get to that, if they slide, whether it be in the regular season or the playoffs, the deadline is going to be the first thing that comes back up. That's fair. That's totally fair. Chapman, not moving him ultimately might be their best deadline move. Because they probably could have gotten something for him. You look at this guy, and I know he has his off-the-field issues,
correct,
right? But on the field, he is 37 years old. Mm-hmm. He is out there hitting triple digits on the gun. He's never pitched outside of 2020, which was the COVID year. He's never thrown less than 43 games in a season. Every other year, he's been well over 50. It's unbelievable. His arm is a medical marvel. Knock on wood, of course. But the fact that he looks this good at this age, pitching as much as he has in his career, can you name me another guy, Mark, that was throwing in the hundreds at the age of 37? And on top, and it's not like it's 100 and it's all over the place. He's spotting it. Coming out of that game on Friday night, he's now gone 12 innings in a row without allowing a hit. I got caught up in the moment, looked something up. Not even 2003 Eric Gagne did that. His longest such streak was 10 games. And that's considered, I think, widely the greatest closer season of the modern era, if not of all time. He won the Cy Young as a closer.
Yeah.
And Chapman is doing some things 03 Eric Gagne hasn't done.
Just 8-time All-Star. I don't know what the analytics say. I don't care. 8-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, AL reliever of the year, has the fastest pitch in MLB history at 105.8 miles an hour.
I actually saw that live. I wasn't there, but I was watching on TV live. I remember that.
That was
sick.
I don't know. That feels like a Hall of Famer to me. If he's an All-Star that many times, he's contributed to World Series teams. But whatever. Look, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to enjoy it. I get it. This is partly on me, but I refuse to let them off the hook and to operate like they're the Rays, because unless they're making big time moves off season and in season, at the deadline especially, that's what they used to do, and that's generally what wins. Now, I understand that the Houston, I don't know what always was going on with Houston. They've won championships. They're not always making big deadline moves. They did this year with Carlos Correa.
Well, their roster is if your roster is good enough, you don't really need to make the big deadline splash. Their roster was just always so loaded. The Red Sox came into the season with clear holes in the rotation, the bullpen, and essentially at first base. I know they had Tristan Casas at the beginning of the year, but they didn't have a contingency plan. He's a guy that's gotten hurt. Maybe they've plugged the first base hole, depending on how you feel about Nathaniel Lowe. They did not fully and you look at it and you say, all right, you need another starter, you need a couple bullpen arms. You can get that at the deadline. Like a lot of teams go in with that approach. Did they address it fully enough? Bullpen, I don't think so. Especially with Hicks not working out. The rotation, we'll see if Dustin May has another good start. We'll see if Kyle Harrison gets up here. They still have a TBD for Monday after moving Walker Buehler to the bullpen. So that one is still up in the air. It can absolutely come back to bite them. But it hasn't so far because they've just had their big name, big money, big acquisition players step up.
That's what I'm saying. Then that's what I feel like was missing. The Red Sox had a clear gap. They needed pitching. They didn't get it. They needed another bat, maybe a big bat. They didn't get that, especially when you consider that their best hitter is 21, 22 years old, and you're going to try to lean on him to be your top guy, your top dog in the lineup come playoff time. I don't love that, but I could have dealt with that if they went out and got a Joe Ryan. They needed more help. Maybe some of those Astro teams of the years past didn't need as much help at the deadline, so we didn't see the big move. Or, if you want to go way back to 2004 Red Sox, they didn't need a superstar to come in at the deadline. They were already loaded with stars. They had the talent, so they tweaked. They used analytics appropriately and figured out where their holes were. It didn't take over their life for the organization. They used it appropriately in a very specific spot and circumstance and plugged the holes they needed to plug and did it masterfully. And that's what teams that have the talent do. The Red Sox didn't have the talent this year. That's why I was yearning for a bigger name.
I know we have to hit the break. I want to ask you something. Yep. Maybe we can do it on the other side. I'm curious we'll take the first base thing out of it. I'm curious what bothers you more that they didn't address, or how they addressed the rotation, or how they addressed the bullpen.
All right. We'll do that when we get back. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5.
this song coming in this morning. Love it. Back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub, Mark Dondero, Alex Barth. You want to know something I find funny? I don't even want to bring it up, but I will just because I find it funny.
What?
You know the last time the Red Sox won 8 games against the Yankees, what year it was?
I saw this the other day. Was it? No, 1912 was something else.
8 straight games against the Yankees.
When was it?
2009. You know who won the World Series that year?
The Yankees.
I just think that's weird.
I don't think this Yankees team's winning.
I don't think they're winning.
Series.
They're too stupid. But they are still in it. They are still in it, and that's why, I guess you never can say never. We'll see. They still got a pretty good. They hit a lot of home runs. The lineup's still pretty potent. Red Sox are getting them. They're getting them good right now. But it's just interesting. What was your question before we went to break?
So you're still pretty bothered by the trade deadline.
Correct.
I'm just curious what bothers you more, how they addressed or didn't address, whatever you want to call it, the rotation or the bullpen?
The rotation. I wanted a number 2. I wanted Joe Ryan. I wanted at least. And I made the comparison to Jake Peavy back in whenever that was, 2013. I wanted a guy like that. That's a move that would have spoke to me. There are other ones. I guess it could have been a bullpen arm, but I wanted a definitive number 2 because I still think guys like Lucas Giolito and Brian Bayo, as good as Bayo's been, I'm still not comfortable trusting him in a playoff situation. That's not a legit. This isn't Schilling and Pedro. Even Pedro on his way down, I trusted them. I wanted them to have the ball. I don't know what to think about Brian Bayo. I'm not there yet. I wanted a more established guy, a more consistent guy, and somebody that would have spoken to me that, hey, we are trying to go for it. Now, maybe they're inching closer to that. Crochet, Bregman, like I said earlier. Maybe it's getting there. Maybe they do something over the offseason and then add to it in the trade deadline next year. It's a little bit more dynamic. I'll be there. I wanted a starting pitcher, a number 2.
For me, it was more the bullpen. One, I think it's just easier to acquire bullpen talent at the deadline. You always see those guys move. I didn't need, I didn't need the super pen as it was described going in, but just adding some depth to that group, adding some guys. So if you can't throw Chapman 3 nights in a row, you have a couple guys you feel better about. If Whitlock can't go 2 innings, you have 2 guys maybe that can split up those innings. I don't know. I think you can sort of cover up a bad rotation with the bullpen easier than you can cover up a bad bullpen with the rotation come the playoffs. I think it's different during the regular season, but I talked about in the first segment, the American League just sucks so much. I'm not super worried. If they don't get in the playoffs, they have much bigger issues. If they can't beat out this group of teams that's chasing them right now, especially with the series they're having against the Yankees. I just thought getting a couple more, didn't need to be, again, a full-on closer, although the Emmanuel Clase A idea was fascinating to me. But just proven 7th, 8th inning guys. Like 2 more of those guys I think would have really rounded this thing out. Now, we'll see what happens with Walker Buehler in the bullpen.
Sure.
I don't have particularly high hopes for that, but we'll see what happens there. Does Peyton Tolley end up being a bullpen guy for them?
I would love to see it.
I'd rather he start, honestly.
I would love to see him involved.
I would love to see him involved. So we have to see. I'm kind of hoping. Well, they play at 7 o'clock tonight, so we probably won't. I would imagine Cora is going to tell reporters today who's going to get the start tomorrow. Because that's still TBD. So, but if it's Richard Fitz or whoever, like, they have options, but none of them are proven. I'm with you. Like, a number 2 would have been great. Knowing you're going into a playoff series, again, I'll just use Joe Ryan because you mentioned him. Knowing you're going into a playoff series, Crochet, Ryan, boom, boom. That's great.
And then you have Bayo.
But
then you have Giolito at 4. That's what I'm talking about.
Some of those other teams have good rotation. Like, somebody's got to lose the game, right?
Yeah.
I think you get later in the game with the bullpen, and you can just feel comfortable with a 1-run lead or a 2-run lead. I am not going to feel comfortable. And as good as Chapman's been, and we just hyped him up last segment, he does historically get shakier in the playoffs. I am, if and when they get in the playoffs, Mark, I'm really not going to feel comfortable with anything. Like, you're going to need that game yesterday to make me feel comfortable. It's playoff baseball. It's tense in general. I get that, but this bullpen is going to make me more worried than usual. You look at their runs to the World Series and the bullpens they had and the closers they had. Keith Folk in 04, prime Jonathan Papelbon in 07, Koji Uehara, one of the greatest playoff runs a closer's ever had. I'm higher on Craig Kimbrell than most. I know a lot of people don't like him, but they had him in 18, right? Like, and the guys they had behind them, there were a lot of great bullpens there. This one just feels a little bit shorter to me.
Keep in mind, in 18, though, Alex Cora, I thought that was his finest moment. Still, as manager of the Red Sox. What he did managing the pitching in 18, using guys out of the bullpen, starters out of the bullpen, managing the way they did the innings, that was his great. Now,
So they might need to do that again.
they might need to do that again, and I hope he's still effective at doing that. That was a long time ago. Things have changed. He hasn't been as good in certain situations, but that's one time he was awesome. That whole ALCS and then World Series, the way he managed and got around maybe some of the inefficiencies they had in the bullpen was a masterclass in that fall. Let's go to the phones. Mark is in Medford. Hey, Mark, thanks for holding on.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for taking my call. So, yes, I am a Yankees fan. I've been a Yankees fan my whole life. And these last 3 games, the Yankees have played bad baseball. And I say that in the game before last night, that 1-0 game, at that Yankee Stadium, they don't lose games 1-0. They don't win games 1-0. For them not to score a run off Giolito, that was pathetic, okay? But my question is this. If Steinbrenner was still here, would Boone still have a job? And if the Red Sox finish ahead of the Yankees, does Boone come back next year?
The answer is no and no. I don't know much about the kids, but obviously George Steinbrenner created an energy, okay, that yielded greatness. Was he an a-hole? Probably. Was he a pain in the ass? Probably. All those things. But the way he demanded greatness, even if he was a little over the top at sometimes, he just didn't accept anything else. So that was a great day for the Red Sox when he moved on or when he passed or whatever you want. I mean, you don't want to say it was a great day when he passed, but you know what I mean. When he was out of the picture, things got easier for the Red Sox because he demanded excellence, and they don't have that now. They maybe do a little, but not to the level that George Steinbrenner demanded it. No, I don't think Boone would be there.
Boone probably would have
Aaron
been
Boone would not be
hired,
there.
would have been fired, hired, and fired again
exactly.
at this point. He's brutal. And do you hear some of his comments after the game? What he said about the Volpe play yesterday? He said something about we're going to knock it because it's not a good decision, but also it is a good decision if you think about it. Even though it's not, we're going to call it a good decision. I love watching the clips of him post-game when they lose. My all-time favorite, real quick, I know you want to get some more calls. He was once asked if he was alarmed about how many double plays his team was grounding into. He said, no, I actually think the better teams ground into double plays because if you're grounding into more double plays, it means you're getting more runners on base. Not how it works. Not remotely how it works.
I hope
an
he's
all-time
manager there for a long time.
Oh, give him a lifetime contract, please.
Jerry is in Weymouth. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, guys. Listen, I think you've been great today, actually, and you're finally saying some of the stuff that I've been saying out loud forever. I'm actually I grew up in Weymouth. I'm a friend of a member of the Red Sox brass, and I can tell you I voiced my concern to him always. But I think we're going a little bit too easy on him. You've hit on a couple of things I've been complaining about forever. One of you said that they haven't been spending since as far back as 2019. This is the same team that's been printing money for the past 20 years. There's absolutely no excuse whatsoever for not spending money. They have it. They're not spending it. They needed pitching at the All-Star break. There were many number 2 guys available. Like you said, Joe Ryan was available, Gallen, Kelly, Alcantara, Mitch Keller from Pittsburgh. There were guys to get, and how you address your middle relief guys is you bring in a number 2 guy and you move one of the guys from your rotation into a middle relief role, and now you've killed 2 birds with one stone. They're top 6 in baseball in runs scored, and they have arguably the best closer in all of baseball. What you needed was a starting number 2 guy to make yourself a World Series contender. And the part that bothers me is if you're harping on rebuilding years, that's all fine and good. But when you at the All-Star break, when you're in the playoff hunt and you're top 6 in scoring, and it's clear to everybody on the globe that the only thing you need is starting pitching and a relief guy to make yourself a contender, and you're 12th in spending, there is no excuse for that. This guy's got no problem at all spending on soccer teams, and suddenly spending for the Sox is an issue. It is upsetting, mind-boggling, and it's been bothering me now for years, but specifically this year. They have a really good chance, and they pissed it away at the All-Star break.
I'm with Jerry. I'm where Jerry's at. That's the problem. And by the way, I read an article about the game yesterday. I don't know why. I watched the game, but I was like, I'm going to read an article. And they, from, I guess, more of a Yankees perspective, and the way they phrased it, they talked about Garrett Whitlock and Aroldis Chapman being one of the best 1-2 reliever combinations in baseball. So when you think of it that way, and what Jerry just said about if you added a number 2 and could slide somebody else and we'll see what Walker Buehler can do, Jerry is right. You need to operate. You cannot take any chances. If that was the team that was doing everything and anything to win the World Series, they would have gone on and gotten a guy. They would have gone for it. They would have been aggressive. They would have still done what they were doing with the prospects and the rookies and all that. But you continue to be aggressive. You throw everything you have at it. That's what we watched for 20 years. And that's not what they do now. They're calculated, and they count pennies. And they do this, but then they do this. And they'll make this move, and we're excited, and then they do this, and they save money. Even Roman Anthony. They signed him to a contract. Great. He screwed up. He took money. He should have waited. He could have gotten more. Good job for the Red Sox. Really, though? Is that a good job, or is that just being cheap again? So I'm not all that excited about that. They had a chance. They were right there at the deadline, and they didn't do enough, and I think it's going to bite them, and we'll see what happens. But it's just maddening, and I refuse to let them off the hook because all they're doing to me right now is just figuring out how to become Tampa. Maybe they're inching closer, but they're not there yet, and until they get there, even the Yankees, I know the super pen hasn't worked out, but at least they tried. And I know they look like crap, and that could be on the manager, but at least they went for it. They tried to create this ridiculous bullpen that could take them home in games. At least they tried. At least their front office, from that perspective, was willing to go for it. The Red Sox did no such thing at the deadline, and that's what you need everything to win the World Series. You need the talent. You need the managing. You need that mentality from the front office, and they're not getting that, and I'm waiting for it, and I'm not letting them off the hook. 617-779-0985. We'll get a break. We're going to get into some football. We have a 98.5 coming up, Alex. It is about the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry.
Okay.
We'll have it's a little bit off the beaten path, but we'll go over it. We'll do that in a little bit. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
All right, back here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 617-779-0985. What could the Red Sox do that would I guess make this season a success to you, Alex? I'm just curious because obviously there's got to be. I have to have an answer to that question.
Yeah.
And unless it's just win the World Series, what would be a success for you this year? Because obviously there's still a long ways to go.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're the Boston Red Sox. They should be a legitimate World Series contender every year. To your point, they haven't been. I mean, obviously winning the World Series is an answer. I think if we're being realistic, given where they've been, man, if they can get to the ALCS, I think winning a playoff series. If they win a playoff series, and I'm not including that one game play-in wild card, like a real playoff series, I'll feel pretty good about it.
They won't be in a one-game play-in, right? If they finish where they are right now, they'd be in a series at home against the Yankees right now, wouldn't they? They'd be the two middle wild card teams. And then it would be the lowest.
Oh, they don't do the one game anymore.
No,
that's right. That's right.
It's a 3-game series, but all the games at Fenway, I think.
Yeah, win a real playoff series. Get to the DS.
Okay.
Win
the wild card thing.
Yeah.
And then win the ALDS.
So I guess I'm saying get to the ALCS. I just feel like I mean, Mark, I look at the standings in the American League and I look at the teams in the American League.
Yep.
So your division leaders right now are Detroit, Toronto, and Houston. And Toronto's still absurdly hot, but I don't know that any of those teams particularly scare me. Toronto, I think, is punching above their weight right now based on what we've seen this team do in the past. Houston, they've been there. They have the experience, but they're a little bit older. The Red Sox have been good against them this year. Detroit's a really young team. Are they ready for it? And then the wild card teams, the Yankees are a complete and total mess. The Mariners might be the one team that give me a little bit of pause.
Yes.
Because they loaded, to your point. That's the example of the deadline, and that's not a major market team. Mm-hmm. And that's a team that went all in at the deadline. But the Royals, the Guardians, if the Rays sneak in, I don't know.
I'd be much less concerned about Seattle if that was a series in Boston. If that was a series in Seattle where 3 games are out there, very concerned.
That gets tough.
I don't like the Red Sox in Seattle historically are not good.
Are there, and look, the National League's another story. The National League should win the World Series this year. There's just much, much, much more talented teams out over there than there are in the American League. But just in the American League, Mark, can you tell me any of those teams are definitively better than the Red Sox?
No.
I don't know if the Red Sox are definitively better than any of them either, by the way. But it feels wide open. And yet, this is why you brought in a guy like Alex Bregman, right? Somebody who's been there, who has some experience. A lot of these teams are young, don't have a ton of that. Now, the Red Sox have some key players that don't have that experience, too. Most of the roster, because they're guys who've been here for 3 or 4 years when the team's missed out on the playoffs. Even Garrett Crochet, who was elsewhere, he was in Chicago. They're nowhere close. Trevor Story, oddly enough, has played in 5 playoff games in his career, as long as he's been in the majors, because the Rockies were just so bad for most of his career. But they should win a playoff series. Maybe I'll take a step back from getting the ALCS. If they win the wild card, have a competitive DS, I'd feel okay about that. But it's wide open. There's not a team that I look at and be like, all right, you're going to get as far as them, and then once you play them, you're probably done. I don't think that team exists in the American League.
I'll tell you what, if they and there's a long way to go. I mean, there's still how many weeks left in the season? 5 or 6, maybe 6. If they ever ended up in a series or one of those wild card series against the Yankees, lost.
That would be tremendously disappointing.
That would be one way of putting it, yes, because they have dominated them this year. You'd have 3 games at Fenway.
Yeah,
they've been great at home. You can't lose that series. So yes, no. I guess if we have the show to do today, where we're sitting right now, the Yankees and Red Sox are 2 Yankees, 1 Red Sox in the wild card standings. If it ended today, that'd be the matchup, 3 games at Fenway Park. So the answer to me would be they'd have to get to the ALCS because that's a series I would expect them to win.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little presumptuous, but I would expect them to win that series, and then it's okay. Another American League division opponent, can you beat them? I would hope so, and I would think that would be the progress I was looking for. And that, combined with what they did with Crochet, especially if you talk about Bregman having a good series or Crochet getting the ball twice and coming up huge, then I could sit back and say, okay, Is it what I want it to be? Is it perfect? No, but they have made a stride or strides to being back to what I want. They won a series. They won 2 series, depending on how you want to say it. Big names they acquired, had a big hand in them winning. I'm happy. I can live with that.
I will say, the Reds, I don't know if you've looked ahead at the Red Sox schedule after this weekend. So they're at Baltimore for 4 next week. I know Baltimore just gave them trouble,
Yes.
but they should win that series. Then it's homestand against Pittsburgh, who sucks, in Cleveland, who's meh. At Arizona, not a very good team. At the Athletics, not a very good team. Host the Yankees, host the Athletics, at the Rays, and then they close with Toronto and Detroit, who are 2 division leaders. So that last week of the season is going to be tough, but they should run it up here. They should get themselves a favorable matchup in that wild card series. If not, start to push Toronto for the division a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. They're 5. What are they? 5 back of Toronto.
Yeah, that's an easy schedule,
that's
though.
a huge deficit, though, to overcome a team like that. 5 games back is a huge deficit, and you don't even. Oh, you play them at the end.
You play them at the end. So
Toronto.
I will say, Toronto still has Milwaukee, who's a wagon.
Yep.
Oh, that's it. It's Milwaukee and the Red Sox. Their schedule's easy too. Oh, they do have Houston. They have Milwaukee. They have Houston. And then they have the Red Sox. So,
I just think making up 5 games is so big. It's a huge deficit. I mean, you have to go on an insane winning streak.
In theory, they only have to make up 2. If you can make up 2, and then you get them here at the end of the season, I mean, then you have to sweep them, which is a whole other thing. But really, they only have to make up 2 in a month
I think
to put themselves in position.
Isn't that series at Toronto?
Oh, it might be. You're right. So then they'd have to win on the road. Okay. Yeah,
Which they're not, they're not in. I mean, we'll look at what they're doing right now.
If they're at Toronto, then they're home at Detroit the last week.
They could win games on the road, but they're just not as good. And we saw it recently. They go out, they play San Diego, they lost that series. They go out and play, who else? Houston, they lost that series. So some of the better teams they've played on the road, they dropped 2 of 3. That's what they've been doing recently. So not to say it couldn't happen, but I would not sit here and bet. Their best bet right now is get that top wild card spot and get 3 games at Fenway where they've been great. That's what they need to do, and that's what they should be focusing on. We're going to get to football. When we get back, though, we're going to do a quick 98.5 Red Sox-Yankees edition. This is on the table if you want to talk Red Sox-Yankees. That's available. NFL, anything NFL. Alex is here. Minor league football started yesterday. We could talk about that. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub. All right, it's time, Alex. The 98.5, today's topic, it's a take your pick. Red Sox, Yankees, take your pick themed. Some of you out there, a lot of you will remember the instances I'm bringing up. Some of you might not. Alex, if you don't know it, I'll take it. Now I'll answer the question. 5 questions, take your pick. First one.
Okay.
Better clutch moment. And Jeff, feel free to chime in if you remember any of these too. Better clutch moment. Okay. Manny Ramirez walk-off of Mariano Rivera, 2001. Red Sox were down 2-1. Hits a walk-off single. They win 3-2. Or Trot Nixon with a 9th-inning home run off of Roger Clemens. Red Sox win that game in May of 2000 on Sunday Night Baseball, 2-0. It was Pedro versus Clemens. Better clutch moment.
Trot Nixon because of what that Pedro Clemens game represented. I remember that was a big deal.
Yes.
My brother had a poster, they made a boxing style poster for that game. I remember my brother had in his room. That game was monumental. So give me Trot Nixon because of what that game was.
Totally agree. The Manny Ramirez one was evidence of just how nasty Manny Ramirez was. Just a great professional hitter. And they won that game, and it was off Rivera, and I get all that. But you're exactly right. The Trot Nixon home run at the time, was as big of a Red Sox-Yankees moment as I had ever experienced outside of maybe Pedro, a couple things. From an at-bat perspective, that home run against Clemens in the stadium, Sunday Night Baseball, was huge. I think it's one of the more underrated moments in the history of the rivalry, and I'll take it. Trot Nixon over the Manny Ramirez walk-off. Next, better home run sequence.
Can I guess what one of the answers is? Because I'm going to tell you what I think. Is it the 4 in a row?
That's one of them.
Yeah, I'm picking that.
Okay,
that was
because
awesome.
the other option is Bill Miller walk-off in 2004 against Rivera.
That's not a sequence. That's one home run.
It's a sequence. That's one home run. That sequence yielded one home run.
I guess I got to go with the playoff walk-off then.
It wasn't a playoff game.
Wait, which one is this?
The game, July, remember the day of the brawl?
Oh,
July 24th, 2004. It was the day that turned the tide of the rivalry. They pointed to that as the turning point of the season. Miller walks off on Rivera. They had the
that
fight.
Was that game.
They had the fight or the 4 straight.
Well, the fact I didn't even remember that, give me the 4 straight home runs. That was awesome. My best friend, growing up Yankees fan, I rubbed that in his face for a week. Give me the 4 home runs.
I think I have to go 4 straight. That was just so. I'll never forget. So I was in college when that happened. And I'll never forget walking through the campus of Bryant University. It was a nice night, I remember, so all the windows are open. And I'm walking. It was probably a 7-8 minute walk from the dining hall to my dorm. So I leave the dining hall and I'm walking. And I get near where the dorms are, the buildings of dorms. And all of a sudden I just hear, people kind of going off. And then I walk a little further. And then it's a little louder. People are freaking out. Then I walk a little further. It's a little louder. People are freaking out. Windows. Everybody's going. So at that point, I'm sprinting. I'm like, what the F is going on? And I get in there for Veritek. It's the last one. People going nuts. I'll never forget. That was a cool moment. Not a playoff game, not a big game, but whatever. Okay. Great moment. Better catch. Pokey Reese robbing Kenny Lofton in 2004, which was the same game. You know it.
Better catch he made it because he actually had to go into the stands.
That's right.
Jeter did not have to go into the stands. He showed off. Pokey Reese actually had to go into the stands and made a better catch than Derek Jeter did.
Good take, but that's not the question. The other option, Manny Ramirez, same season, robbing Miguel Cairo of a home run. Remember, Cairo thought it was going, he rounded the bases.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
What's a better one?
This is the closest one for me. I'm going to go with Pokey Reese because it gives us the counter for that overhyped Jeter play. The historic significance of the Pokey Reese catch, I think, hangs with me more.
We're in agreement again. It's because it was in the same game. A better catch in the same game. Jeter did not. Yeah, he could have pulled up. He didn't have to dive into the stands. I've watched that video a million times. He had 2 steps where he could have broken down like a receiver breaking on an out route. He didn't do that. He just jumped into the stands for some reason. Reese over basket catch over his head up against the wall. Fans in his face. That's the answer. All right, 2 more. Funnier moment. A-Rod getting called out after slapping at Bronson Arroyo's glove and the ball coming loose in 2004 ALCS, or Carl Everett breaking up Mike Mussina's perfect game with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the 9th inning in 2001?
Historically, it's probably A-Rod. In the moment, I'd say the Carl Everett one was better.
So what's the answer? What's your answer?
I guess I'll go with the history. I'll go with A-Rod slapping the ball.
Okay. That created the meme where he had the purse because of that. But the answer to me is the Carl Everett moment. Again, this was before any of the playoff magic and all those things. In that right there, then and there, that was one of my favorite moments in the history of the rivalry. I was so happy when he broke up that perfect game and he gets to first base and he's snorting, he's clapping, he's like, "That's right." I loved everything about that. That was hilarious, and that's the answer. I mean, Carl Everett was hilarious.
So that's the thing. Like the A-Rod one, looking back at it, for me is better. But if they don't win that series, that's a completely forgotten moment.
Yeah.
If the Red
I just
Sox
think it was
don't win
funny
that
because
series.
A-Rod was A-Rod. And he
it was great. I remember the picture with the purse. That was the whole thing.
And, of course, it was him who gets called out.
Right.
Like everybody else on the Yankees
What did he think was going to happen?
I know. It was a brain fart. He panicked. All right, last one. Better individual rivalry. Pedro versus Clemens or Nomar versus Jeter?
It's probably Pedro versus Clemens. That's like two tall, like that's just two of the greatest of their era. Nomar and A-Rod are not Nomar and Nomar and Jeter are not to the shortstop position what Pedro and Clemens are to starting pitching.
Yes.
So I'll go with, and also Jeter never played here. Clemens having played here and then gone to New York and that whole thing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go Pedro. I remember Nomar and Jeter more. That one probably meant more to me personally. But objectively, what's the better rivalry? It's Pedro Clemens.
That's the answer. The juice of the Pedro Clemens rivalry. And I think, like you said, because he played here, I know steroids became a factor for both like Clemens and for Nomar. The Jeter-Nomar one was always fun. They were both so good in the moment. Nomar was better in terms of what he could do, but Jeter was actually better, if you want to call it that, and he was probably cleaner, but whatever. He was more clutch.
Had the longevity.
But in the moment, for that 5-year span or whatever, Nomar was awesome, and that was a fun thing. But I got so much juice out of those Pedro Clemens games. It was like watching the Patriots in the AFC Championship. I loved it. It was personal. And they had success, and Pedro was a dog, and I just loved everything about it. And it was heated. It was legitimately heated after the comments and the trade and all these different things. I think that's the answer. It's a fun debate. That's the answer. That's today's 98.5. All right. Alex is going to get you caught up. He's going to do a headlines. When we get back, we're going to get into football. The Patriots. Where is he on the Patriots? I want to ask him about Mike Vrabel's demeanor and where they are as they head into, not yet, but we're getting closer to game week. We'll get into all of that. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
From the Townsend Tire Studios, WBZ FM HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Paisley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Red Sox are one game away from a 4-game sweep of the Yankees in the Bronx. That's after they clinched the series win yesterday, winning 12-1. That included a 7-run ninth inning. Garrett Crochet picked up the win, allowing 1 run in 7 innings. Series wraps up tonight, 7:10 first pitch. Dustin May gets the start for the Red Sox against Carlos Rodon. It's the final day of the NFL preseason. The Patriots already played their preseason finale on Thursday. They've begun roster cuts. They need to be down to 53 players by Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. We will have updates on the Patriots roster cut process throughout the next few days on 98.5thesportshub.com. There are some moves already starting around the league as well, including some quarterback movement. It started with the Vikings trading backup quarterback Sam Howell to the Eagles in a pick swap deal. The Vikings then signed former Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz, who worked out with the team earlier this week. College football season began yesterday with the Week 0 slate that included a ranked matchup between number 22 Iowa State, number 17 Kansas State. Iowa State comes out on top 24-21 in Farmageddon. Hawaii also came back to beat Stanford 23-20. And in the Tour Championship, final day, close leaderboard. Patrick Cantlay and Tommy Fleetwood tied at the top at 16 under. Russell Henley at 14 under. Keegan Bradley at 13 under. Leaders tee off at the bottom of the 1 o'clock hour. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the A Voice for Mikey Autism Foundation Gala on Wednesday, September 3rd at the Cape Club in Sharon. Guests will enjoy an evening of dinner, dancing, celebrity appearances, and more. 100% of the proceeds will go to support families struggling to care for an autistic child. To purchase tickets or donate, please visit avoiceformikey.com. That's avoiceformikey.com. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 12 o'clock.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today. Boston sports, yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports.
Of the New England Patriots going into 2025 right here and now based on what you've seen and what you've heard.
I still feel relatively good. I mean, that's coming off of 2 4-win seasons. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl or anything. I think what the last few weeks have shown you is that, well, they did make significant upgrades to their starting unit. You want to call it their 22 players or whatever, right? 11 on offense, 11 on defense. Obviously not quite that simple, but I think their starting 22, the top quarter of their roster, their 90-man roster, is improved. I think it's improved notably. I think they went out and they made pointed upgrades, and they checked just about every box from a starting standpoint they need to check this offseason. I would have liked to see them get a little more aggressive wide receiver. I guess Terry McLaurin's still out there. Maybe there's still time, but for the most part, like, that's the one thing to me that got left off. But the depth is still a major concern, especially along the offensive line. In theory, to me, Will Campbell, and just from what it's looked like in camp, Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, or Ben Brown, whoever, Garrett Bradbury, Mike Onwenu, Morgan Moses, that group should be noticeably better than last year. Can they get around top 25, top 20 offensive line? Obviously still not great, but they weren't just last year. They were historically bad. But I think that group is representative. As soon as you start pulling one guy out, two guys out, it becomes a Jenga tower. It becomes a house of cards, and you can kind of get back to where you were last year relatively quickly. Obviously, nobody's rooting for injuries, but it's incredibly rare that all 5 linemen play 17 games over the course of a season, and that includes a right tackle who's 34 years old. That includes a starting center who was cut by his last team because he started to regress. That includes 2 rookies potentially playing next to each other. On paper, they're in a better spot, and I don't think that that's nothing. Their floor has been significantly raised from where it was last year. Should not win 4 games again. Should win more than that.
Do you think Cole Strange makes this team?
Unless the only way he makes it to me is if they're worried about Bradbury's ability to stick through the season. Because right now, Garrett Bradbury is your starting center. One of Jared Wilson or Ben Brown is your starting left guard, and the other guy's your backup for both spots. That's the way it looks right now. But let's say that and it looks like Garrett Bradbury is going to be the week 1 starting center. He didn't play on Thursday night. But if they have any sort of concern after what's been a rough summer, okay, well, now you're going to have both Brown and Jared Wilson in the starting lineup, whichever combination between left guard and center, and we can talk about that. That's another conversation. Garrett Bradbury's only a center. So you now don't have a backup left guard. If that's the case, that's where Cole Strange, because he can play both spots, brings some value. So if they're worried really about any of the 3 in that group, it's not just Bradbury. If they're worried about any of the 3 in that group, that opens the door for Cole Strange. If they're looking at it and they're saying, we got these 3 guys, we feel good about them, whoever it is, Brown or Wilson's going to be our top interior backup, and then we'll keep, we'll have guys on the practice squad if we need. Cole Strange is redundant to Ben Brown or Jared Wilson, and you usually don't keep 2 of those guys on the roster, and they've both been better than him this summer.
I just wish a 27-year-old first-round pick from 2022 could have a role on the team. I don't want redundancy, but it'd be nice if he could have, instead of Ben Brown at guard, I wish this guy was a guard or was able to be a starter. He doesn't have to be an all-pro, but a starter.
I mean, they gave him a chance. He was the starting left guard at the beginning of camp and then just fell out of the rotation.
Yeah. So let me ask you about, look, I don't know what to make of the Mike Vrabel thing. He had a little testy exchange with Phil Perry of NBC Sports Boston. He's calling people in the organization rats. He looked a little annoyed there. Is that because he's trying to sort of set a precedent for his program and train certain people either within the walls of Gillette Stadium, people that work for him and or the media on what's tolerated, what's not going to be tolerated, how they want to conduct their business, how they're going to handle business? Or do you think that's Mike Vrabel reacting because things the last couple weeks haven't gone all that well, and he's got new concerns about his team, his roster, and the outlook for 2025? Is it more he's trying to kind of set a precedent and train people within the program on how he wants things run, or is it because he's harboring concerns about what he's seeing?
I think
he's a little moody.
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think he is somebody who I don't think he wants them to be one of these organizations that's how do I phrase, like I don't think he wants it to be an open book. I think because he himself, and we were talking about this a little bit off the air, he's been very good about giving information to the media that just kind of the day-to-day operation. Great example, Friday, does a press conference after the game, just right away, hey, these 14 players, we've let them know we're going to be letting them go, right? That's pretty open for a coach. It cuts down on speculation. It makes everybody in the building's life easier. Nobody has to worry about a player finding out he got cut on social media, something like that. The injuries, usually at the start of every week in training camp, it's been, hey, this guy will be out here this week. This guy won't. This guy's making the trip to Minnesota. This guy isn't. This guy will see. He's not out here today. Maybe he's out here tomorrow. The trade-off usually for a coach like that is I'm going to put the information out that I want out because if I'm not saying it, I don't want it out there. I don't want people to have to dig. I don't want people in my organization to feel like they need to go out there and put out messages that they want out because I'm setting the tone from the podium. The buck stops with me. And I'd heard a little bit like he's not a guy that wants people talking to the media a ton out of turn. He will put out what he wants out there, and that's going to be it. And he puts out more than other coaches do, but that's the trade-off. So I think some of it is he just legitimately doesn't like the leaks. He doesn't like people speaking out of turn behind his back. I also think he's probably frustrated because, like you said, the team hasn't been great, and that probably adds to it. But I don't think I don't think he's putting on this face of like suddenly getting upset with the leaks because the team's not good. I think he would have been upset about this kind of thing since he's been hired.
I didn't have a problem with him mentioning the Rats. I didn't either. I think it was good. I thought it was interesting.
I will say, though, at least for the Jalen Polk one,
yeah,
like Schultz is usually an agent's guy, not a team guy. I wouldn't be surprised if that came from his agent or somebody on, like that might have been the player. That might not have been somebody in the building.
Sure.
The Jennings Duggar trade one, I don't know. That could be somebody in the building. That could be another GM telling people, hey, we've talked to the Patriots about these guys. But the Polk one, I think, is probably not in the building. But it also sends a message to the players. Hey, tell your agents not to do that.
Right.
We'll talk about the players on this team. We don't need your guys, your team going out there putting things in the media.
Part of the problem is I do not even know, and I've been saying this, it's nothing new. I just don't know what to evaluate in preseason football anymore. I don't know what's real. I don't know what's most important. I don't know what Mike Vrabel thinks is real or most important. Is it the joint practices? Is it the internal team practices, team time, one-on-ones? Is it the preseason games? What's the most important thing when you're evaluating?
So everything's weighted differently. Nothing is zero, but the joint practices are the most important. The joint practices hold the most weight because that's when the starters play. That's when they're running their full playbook, which they're not doing in preseason games. Then I would say preseason games are next. Then the internal padded practices and then non-padded practices are the least valuable. Those are basically walkthroughs. And they've had some relatively intense non-padded practices this year as far as those can go, but they are what they are. I think the big thing when you talk about, what is he evaluating, I think in the games it's more the operation than anything else. Are we getting correctly? Are we getting lined up correctly? Do guys know where to line up? Do they know the substitutions, right? We're not getting caught with too many men. We're not having to call timeout because you don't have enough men on the field. Or we're in the wrong formation. Or guys are blowing assignments and this and that. Like, I think that's probably as much what he looks for in the game. Starters didn't play a ton. Obviously, for the depth guys, there's more there. But in terms of evaluating the starting players, I think most of that's done in the joint practices.
The Patriots, I mean, they're favored against the Raiders. They should be favored against who's the quarterback of the Raiders?
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith with Pete Carroll. Like,
West Coast team coming east. No, they should be favored.
They should be favored against the Raiders. They've got every opportunity to win that game, and they've got a favorable schedule, I think, overall. Forget about early on. I think
it's a little tougher at the end than at the beginning, but the beginning's definitely easier.
Look, Carolina at home.
So when I did the Patriots Hub podcast, we did our schedule preview, me and Matt Dolph. That's the trap game to me.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
I think they should win it. That's a sneaky tough game. I don't know about you, Mark. I'm a little high on Carolina this year just because I think Bryce Young had a really good second half to last season, and I wonder if there's something there. The defense still needs work. Their pass-catching unit could be better. We'll see what Ted McMillan does. That's a good litmus test because that's another team that was bad for multiple years, that there were questions about the quarterback initially. They're in a similar-ish place to the Patriots. I'm really interested to see how that game goes. I think that game, you look at the first month, Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, Panthers. I think that game is probably going to tell us more than any of those, or as much as any of those.
I just wish I felt a little bit more confident. I felt better. I've come down from my initial prediction in terms of wins and losses, and I should feel better about where they are, but I don't. And part of it is because of what we saw, I guess, in Minnesota. I guess based on what I've heard from Mike Vrabel, I just, it feels like, and the other question, Alex, what type of identity? Forget about wins and losses. What type of identity are they going to have as a team? That's another question that will have to be answered immediately, and I can't wait to see that. But the biggest thing and the biggest concern is the one I'm going to bring up when we get back. And I wish I didn't have this concern on whatever date it is, August 24th, but I do. And we got to talk about it next because it's everything for the Patriots, and we're going to do that. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
I was higher on him earlier. I'm still high on him, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like he's going to be as mistake proof as I was hoping. I think he's going to evolve. I think he's going to make bigger plays than we've seen in last year. But I still think the mistakes are going to be there, and I think that's going to hold the Patriots back a little bit. Because in some of the game situations, he hasn't looked as good as I was hoping. Where are you on Drake May right now as we approach the regular season? There's no more games until week 1.
The more concerning thing for me, and look, the turnovers have to come down. I think everybody knows that. The number I've kind of thrown out there, can he be at or under a turnover a game? So interceptions plus fumbles, assuming he plays the full season, 17 or less. I think if he can do that this year, like it needs to come down more than that over time. If he's under a turnover a game this year, I think they're going to be in okay shape because the defense should force at least a turnover game, if not more. If this defense is what we think it is, that was one of their most and they had a lot of problems last year, so I get why it maybe got lost in the laundry, but their defense's inability to take the football away last year was jarring. But the turnovers need to come down. The bigger issue for me, because he's been better in terms of holding on to the football in camp. He obviously had the bad fumble in the preseason opener, but it's the end of game stuff. When they do this thing at the end of practice where, all right, ball on the 40, minute 5 left. Ball on the 35, 50 seconds left. Ball on the 25, minute and a half left. Get down the field and score. The offense as a whole, but he's leading it. This falls on him to a good amount. They've really struggled. They finally had their first real put-together touchdown drive in that situation in the last practice on Tuesday. But even some of the other times they scored, I think they had 2 other touchdowns, if I'm remembering correctly, in those situations this summer when they've done this exercise, a dozen times or so. One was a Hail Mary to Kayshon Boutte, and the other was an unbelievable 4th down, time-expiring toe tap catch by Kayshon Boutte over defender. Like, you can't, it's 2 unbelievable plays. You can't count on that. You can't set your watch to that. So the turnovers are the big story with him, and those have to come down. I think they will to an extent. Probably not as much as people want them to, but I think they'll come down. What I'm more concerned about is that Raiders game, right? Mm-hmm. It should be a good game. It should be a close game. Patriots are favored. That's right. But I think it's only, 2.5 points, something like that? 3.5? Okay, 3. So it's a field goal game. Patriots get the ball, down 4, 25-yard line, minute and 15 seconds to go. They've struggled in that situation all summer. Like, I don't feel great about them offensively in that situation. Now, the defense has done their part in that. The defense looked good in that situation. Up 4 minutes ago, opponent has the ball. I feel better than I felt the last few years. But you asked about Drake May. That's my biggest concern with him, is the late game situation.
Okay. So I love the physical tools.
Sure.
Obviously. I love the maturity. I think he's a mature kid. I love his leadership capabilities. I think he wants to work. I think his mentality, his head is in the right place. I think he has a good leadership presence to him, and that will only hopefully grow as he gets more experience and becomes more productive and becomes fully ingrained as the Patriots franchise quarterback, we hope. Accuracy-wise, I don't have a problem.
The sprays have been less this summer. They've kind of crept back in the last couple weeks, but overall there have been less.
Is he Manning? Is he Chad Pennington? I don't know. I don't have a problem with his accuracy. Here are my questions.
Yeah.
Are things moving too fast for him still? Does he have the answers to the test? And if he doesn't, does he have any answers to the test pre-snap? Is he good how is he pre-snap? I don't know that answer yet. You just brought up another one. Those high octane, gotta have it moments at the end of game when you're trying to go fast. And you're trying, things are moving fast and you have to have it and you got to get down the field and there's no tomorrow. I don't know the answers to, and those are key questions that I need answers to, especially the pre-snap reads. Because I saw a couple instances, again, preseason game, but we're talking about Minnesota, a wide open, I think was it Kyle Williams? Wide open. Didn't look that way. Now, to me, if you knew what you were doing pre-snap, you would have known he was going to be wide open. You would have thrown it his way. I'm not saying he doesn't know. I just don't know if he's as far along as I would have liked to this point. And that makes me worried because the developmental period for Drake May is over. Alex. It's over. He needs to produce starting September 7th. He needs to be as close, very close. I know you're obviously going to still evolve and get better and improve and all that, but he needs to be damn close to the quarterback he's going to be in the NFL beginning on September 7th. And it's got to happen now. So I just don't see a lot of time. And by the way,
I just push back on that.
Okay.
You look at the development trend of a lot of quarterbacks in the league. We just talked about, and we'll ultimately see what happens. We just talked about Bryce Young. There's other examples. Josh Allen's obviously the big one. It's that second half of year too.
Okay.
And some of them find it quicker. Some of them do find it quicker. Usually if you haven't found that stride down the stretch in your second year, that's when it's like you're not going to find it. So didn't develop as quickly as some other quarterbacks, but he's not out of that window yet. He really has to show progress by the end of this year. If we have some of these questions going into year 3, that's where the red flag is.
100%.
Especially with the new coordinator, a new offense, all of that, and just what their issues were last year. He has the first 2 months of this season to make strides. He has to make them. But I don't think that week 1 he needs to be the quarterback he's ultimately going to be for his career. I don't know about that. You mentioned the pre-snap stuff.
Yep.
That's been a mixed bag to me. I think where he's really struggled is the coverage rotations, especially teams flipping into cover 2 from other looks. The Kyle Williams play you mentioned was one of those because they're showing, I don't remember if it was cover 1 or cover 3, but they're showing something with a center field safety. And based on the read they're showing, Kyle Williams' route is not going to be open pre-snap. They rotate, and that's why he's open, because it's a different coverage, and it takes maybe a minute to pick that up. So that's just something you got to get better at over time. The thing is, it's kind of been a repeated pattern this summer with the coverage rotation stuff. He's going to see a lot of coverage rotation early on. He's going to get an opportunity to get exposed to it, and that's why it's going into that second season, why you have this runway, because, all right, he's going to see a lot of coverage rotation to start the season. Does he see it, digest it, learn how to handle it, and get better? Or does the issue continue?
I mean, you brought up Bryce Young. He hasn't done anything yet. He might have, he got benched. He was better. He might be poised for a bit of a breakout this year. That'd be fun. He hasn't done anything yet. Josh Allen still was winning games early on. He's not the MVP, or he wasn't the MVP that he is now, but he was still winning games. Drake May hasn't won games. The things I've said about Drake May, it's a bigger picture take. It's more, I want him to do two things that would really make him arrive. Can you first of all find ways to win games, like you said, be the reason your team wins games at the end of games? Can you be the reason that you found the magic to get your team down the field, similar to what he did against Tennessee last year? I know they didn't win that game, but at the end, when he made the play that got them into overtime, and it was magical. Can you have more of those plays, those moments that give your team belief? I know you're the anti-Jason Tatum. That you're the reason that they win late in games. And I know that was a shot at Jason.
No, I mean, it's a different sport. You're a quarterback. You have to. I just for the point, down the last 8 games last year, Bryce Young, and the team didn't have the same success, 3-5, but Bryce Young over the last 8 games completed 61% of his passes, 12 touchdowns plus 5 more on the ground. So 18 touchdowns, 3 picks in 8 games, averaged, where's yards per game here? I can't find. He threw for 1,700 yards in 8 games. Like, if Drake May gives you that sort of performance, I'd feel great about that.
Yeah.
Even if the team goes 3-5 in that sort of stretch, if Drake May's playing like that, that's an encouraging half season of football.
Sure. And just again, to be clear, I'm not saying he's bad pre-snap or he's not going to get. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in preseason NFL, based on where I sit right now, I haven't seen enough personally. And maybe it's just me, that makes me comfortable enough to say, boy, he's really good pre-snap, and I don't have to worry about anything like that. He's going to have his reads on lockdown, and he's going to always make the right read, and he's going to put the Patriots in a better play more often than not. I can't say that. Here's another question, and here's the second thing that I'd be looking for this year. I'm going to ask you. Are the Patriots going to be able to win any games this year if the opposing quarterback plays well? In other words, will they win a shootout this year?
It's going to be tough because their defense is better than their offense. We know that. I mean, you hope so. Now, that's more about the pieces around May than May himself, because they're better at wide receiver, but they're still clearly not where they need to be. It's going to be tough for them because they're not even when they're good, even when this offense is on with it being better, It's not. They still don't have that quick strike guy. Yep. Maybe it's Pop Douglas. You really hope it's Travion Henderson. But we don't know. Pop, I like Pop, but he's gotten hurt. Travion Henderson's a rookie. Like, it's been very promising, but we'll see.
Travion Henderson, by the way, I love him.
I do too.
Not as big as I thought. I stood next to him the other day.
No, he's not that big.
Not that big.
He's bigger than you'd think a guy that fast is, but he's not as big as he looks on the field. To go back to your question, though, like, if they're going punch for punch with another team, like if Drake May gets in a rhythm and they go punch for punch and it's that kind of shootout, maybe. Because maybe the defense comes up with a big play late in the game, and that's the difference. Getting down multiple scores and trying to come back in that kind of game, that they're really not.
Well, I don't care how they do it. They can go punch for punch, but can they win a game 38-35? That's what, because that would
that's what I'm saying.
Real progress to me.
If it's 38-35 and they're going score for score, maybe.
Okay,
it would
that's
have to
progress.
be against a weak defense. Drake May really has to be on, maybe. If it's 38-35 and they went down 24-3 and they're trying to claw their way back, I don't see them having that.
But that's okay. I don't need that. I don't need Brady. I don't need the Super Bowl 51 performance. I just need it. Can you score a lot in a game?
I'll just say this. If they score over 30 points in a game and lose with what this defense is supposed to be, that would be very disappointing.
Sure. I'm just saying, for the last few years, it's felt like if they win a game, especially a game against a good opponent, it was almost like the defense, they had to wrestle them into a rock fight, and the defense had to have this banner day and shut down, like what we saw in the week 1 game last year against Joe Burrow.
Right. I don't think it's going to be quite to that extreme this year. I have a stat. We can do it after the break if you want, because I know we're up against it. I don't think it's going to be quite to that extreme. You're not going to get that Rams-Chiefs Monday night game. Remember that thing, whatever that was, 18-19, right?
Yeah, that was a great
You're not going to
game.
get that, but I don't think it's going to be having to win. In the past, it's felt if the defense allows 3 touchdowns, they lost. Right? That's the way. I don't think it's going to be quite that bad, but I don't think they're winning games going into the 40s.
That's progress, though. If they can win even a couple where it's, 31-28 or something like that, I'll take that this year, especially if it's May making the plays and it's not 2 pick sixes or something. But that's the type of progress I'm looking for, and I don't think they're going to I don't think he's quite comfortable enough to be as clean as I want him to be, and I think that's what's going to keep their win total down. I think they're going to be better, but I was talking about 10 double-digit wins type of thing. I don't see that now based on how this has kind of transpired here as we round out the preseason. 617-779-0985. More football when we get back. We can answer. Did you say you have a question, or we're going to know?
I have a stat that kind of goes along those lines that you might like.
I also want to. I'm watching the. I don't know if you've seen the Cowboys documentary on Netflix.
I've not gotten it yet.
I'll give you a little preview of that because I'm watching that right now, and I think it's excellent. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Up there, actually. I like this song, but I could think of like a handful that are.
Give me a
this.
couple of your top 7, Dust. Bitch, Black.
Black is number
Black is
one,
awesome.
just because when I first started seeing them in concert, that's what they would open with.
That was
Like
such
that
a-
visual of
yeah.
like the spotlight just hitting LeJean when the song kicks in. It's unbelievable. Angel Sun is up there.
I love
too.
that one. Straight Up. Yep. I don't know if we talked about this real quick. There's a song. It's Raw, the band Raw. I don't know if you've.
Yeah.
Do you call my name? Yeah. Featuring LeJean. Nobody Loves You is the name of the song. It's somewhat recent. You got to check that one out. It's a good one.
I will.
LeJean from 7 Dust. Back here with Alex Barth, Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub, 617-779-0985. You have a stat.
Yeah.
I'm interested in.
So you're asking about the Patriots winning a shootout and how improved the offense
I think that
be.
would represent real progress this year if they can win some of those games.
So do you know the last time the Patriots scored, and this is according to Pro Football Reference, the last time the Patriots scored 4 or more touchdowns in a game? Jones did it to the Browns that season. That was the game he had Kendrick Bourne
So
on
hold
that
on a
post.
sec. You're telling me in the last 2 seasons they haven't scored more than 4 or more touchdowns in any game?
That's what Pro Football Reference has, yeah.
Man, that's brutal. In today's NFL.
They've done it 9 times total since Tom Brady left.
Look, I mean, Josh McDaniels, I hear what you're saying. And I don't disagree. He as much as I want to say, and I'm saying that the developmental period is over, he's still going to be able to evolve throughout the course of this season. However, I mean, I need to see real progress immediately. He might not be a finished product-ish until the end of the season or the second half of year 2, but I need to see real progress beginning immediately. And that might just mean, hey, maybe they make a few more dynamic plays. You know, like this will be an example. Maybe he makes a couple mistakes. Maybe he's still turning the ball over. But hey, in the second quarter, he hits Austin Hooper on this awesome seam route down the field for 27 yards. I mean, that would be progress. That would be something that we used to see. A play like that where he makes a good read, play action, and hits a guy down the seam in the middle of the field. I love that, and they need more of that.
Well, I think what it's about for Drake May, and this is any young player in any sport, the last thing that comes generally with most prospects is consistency. You see flashes, and Drake May definitely showed us flashes last year.
Yeah.
But they're flashes, and it's where you go from being a good prospect to a good player. A good prospect shows you tremendous flashes of ability. A good player, that's just who they are. They're not flashes. They're just doing that. And it's not like one day all of a sudden they're just doing it consistently. It's kind of over time. But I think that's what, to your point about, you want to see Drake maybe a finished product week 1. I mean, it's going to take time, but that's what this year is more about for me, for Drake May, is consistency.
I didn't say finished product.
Or close to, okay. But
closer.
This year, to me, is about, can Drake May consistently make the throw up the seam to Hooper, like you mentioned? Instead of that being like a one throw a game thing that we just point to that and they lost, but look at this one throw, can it be more of a regular occurrence? And then the flip side is true as well. Consistently, or doing the bad things less consistently. And that goes back to the turnovers. So that's what this year's all about to me. It's not about the one eye-popping, put it on Twitter throw, because we've seen him make those. Can we now get a couple of those a game? And maybe it's 2 or 3 a game to start the year, and then 4 or 5, and then we just get to the point where that's just the throws he makes because he's Drake May and he's good. Like, that's what this year is about for me when it comes to Drake May.
I'm trying to be reasonable. All I'm looking for, and I appreciate the stat you just gave me, but despite that, I'm not a stats person. And in terms of my evaluations,
well, no, it just speaks to your point about they need to be able to win more when the defense gives up points. And look, the defense should give up fewer points because the defense should be better, which is an important point to make here.
Yes.
But
I mean, it should be based on what they added and who they have.
They didn't even forget not scoring 4 touchdowns. They didn't even reach 28 points last year. They did it once the year before because they kicked a bunch of field goals in the game. I think that was the game they beat the Bills. But if you're going to win those shootouts, like, they're not scoring. They have not been scoring enough to get close to that range. Even if they're losing a game like that, it would be really bad for the defense because his defense should be better than that. But it would show progress for the offense, to your point.
I just want there's not going to be a number, if we fast forward 2 months from today, I don't think there's going to be a straight number or a statistic that you can tell me that's going to make me feel good. I'm going to watch it. Like everyone else, we're going to watch it, and I'm going to know based on what I see. And when I watch Drake May this year, what I want to see and need to see is a feeling of positivity when he has the ball. When Drake May takes the field, I need to feel good. I can't feel uneasy. This has been my problem with a lot of this is I don't mean to keep throwing Jason Tatum under the bus here. I like Tatum a lot. But at the end of games, I know how I feel. And this is what Gabe in West Roxbury doesn't want to admit. It's what all the people that I tried to talk about, I tried to say before that Knicks series didn't want to admit. How do you feel at the end of a game when Tatum's got the ball and it's close and you got to have it? You don't feel good. I've never felt good. I want to feel the opposite. Tatum's a great player, but I've never felt good. Separate conversation.
Well, but that goes to consistency, right?
It does.
Because when you don't know the uneasiness with Drake May is you don't know what you're going to get. You want to just feel a little more comfortable about, I know what to expect here. I know he's going to give me this. I know he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. I know he's going to create plays with his legs or whatever it is, right? Whatever it ends up being. All you're asking for is consistency. You just want to be more consistent. You just want to have a certain level of expectation with him.
That's right. And it goes back again to Tom Brady, and it's totally unfair, and it's not the right thing to compare, but whatever. When he took over in 2001, he wasn't Michael Vick. He wasn't jumping over defenders and throwing the ball 75 yards down the field and connecting on all these big plays. All I know is something felt good. What? They're winning? They found a way to win the game? Tom Brady's got the good things happen. They converted that third down. They made the first down. They scored the touchdown in the red zone. It was just, I felt good. Okay? I'll give you even a more recent example, and it's a smaller example because he's not as important as the quarterback, obviously, but DeMario Douglas. I generally, in a smaller sense, feel good when he's around the ball. I know he makes mistakes. Yeah. He's not a star, but good things over the course of my time, the brief time I've watched him, good things have generally happened more often than not when he's been involved. And I like that feeling. And that's what I'm looking for from Drake May. Early on, even. Do I get that feeling that when May is out there and the ball's in his hands and he's, about to do his thing, do I feel good and positive about what I think is about to happen? Or is it uneasy? Am I uneasy every time he lets it go? Okay. Or is it more comfortable and I feel like something good? That's what I'm looking for. Lucas is in Norfolk. Hey, Lucas.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Just same type of an idea. Patriots fan my entire life, 35 years old. Josh Allen, when he came in, we were saying the same thing. Like, he's inconsistent, he's dumb, he makes bad plays. But 3-4 years in, you're like, okay, he's a stud, and he's getting to the conference games. If I can look forward to him making progress 3 to 4 years and being in conference games, I'm okay with that.
That's very nice. Can you drop him? I froze up here, Jeff. Thanks for the call, Lucas. That's very nice. I still think that Josh Allen is the outlier. I don't think, and he was good. He won games early on in his progression in his career. I don't think that that's somebody that we can all sit back and you say, well, let's just wait for the Josh Allen effect.
No, I mean,
shape. I think that's the outlier.
That kind of development is absolutely an outlier, but most quarterbacks don't come into the league being who they're going to be. It's usually late into that second year where they're kind of polishing things off, and then the guys who are, really going to take over the start of the third year. If you're not, heading into year 3 looked at as a guy that's ready to be the guy, you're probably not going to get there. And that doesn't mean you're going to take the jump to where Josh Allen is, but you don't need to get to where Josh Allen is to be a competitive starting quarterback, right? I think you just need to start showing significant signs of it by the second half of your second year.
And I think Drake May is going to. If I had to make a prediction right now, I would say I think Drake May is going to show some of those signs. I think he's going to show the big playability, but he's going to still make mistakes, and that's going to be the continued conversation throughout the course of the year. Can you get him to stop making those mistakes?
Can he make fewer? Again, the number I use, because the way he's never going to be one of these guys like Brady or Aaron Rodgers who throws like 4 picks in a season, because that's just not how he plays. He's never going to be that guy. To me, for this year, however many games he ends up playing, like it should be 17, but we know he kind of gets banged up. Let's say he plays 17 games. Does he give the ball away less than 17 times? If he plays 15 games, we drop that number to 15, whatever it is. Yep. But
I like it.
That's that to me is the most telling number. I think if Drake May comes in under a turnover a game, he had an encouraging season, and the Patriots probably had an encouraging season. If that number's getting closer to like 20, now you're in trouble.
But here's the other thing. If you have Josh McDaniels, okay, then you add Pop Douglas, who I'm high on. Maybe I shouldn't be as high. And I'll even throw in, I don't think he's going to play whatever. Efton Chisholm, just for the sake of the exercise. Let's just throw him in there. He's a slot receiver, whatever. Just look good. And then you have Travion Henderson. I would like to think you could create an offensive culture with some players who are dynamic to a point and are allowing you to execute plays that don't put you in a huge risk of turning the ball over. I'd like to think that.
So that's generally what the McDaniels offense is, but then you get into these points where he goes off script and it becomes something else, and you can't stop him from going off script because that's part of what makes him so good.
Yep.
And his ability to create plays when nothing is there, they are going to need that. It's not allowing a bad play to become worse. If you're trying to make a bad play good, which he has done, and that's why he's a top 5 pick, because he does look like he has an ability to do that. But when you're trying to make a bad play good, can you not instead end up making the bad play worse? That's what it's going to come down to with him. You can't totally handcuff him because at that point, you're taking away his superpower. You're taking away the reasons he was such a high pick, and now he just becomes essentially a below-average game manager because that's not the way he plays. You don't want to fight the quarterback. You don't want to fight him stylistically. You want to allow him to play to his style. It's just teaching him to clean up when he's playing within that style.
And that's what he has. That's what they were talking about. What Mike Vrabel was talking about after that first preseason game when he fumbled. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
What song is this? Now I forget.
Voices.
Voices. All right, back here, Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We're still waiting. I mean, I'm a little surprised, Alex. A lot of people opined they thought it would be an explosive kind of lead up to this deadline on Tuesday at 4 p.m., but the Patriots haven't really done anything explosive, right, to this point.
No, they announced 14 releases at the start of the week. None of those guys were necessarily expected to make the team, and I don't know how much we're going to get explosive from this roster cuts, just because the moves that would be deemed big moves, I think, have kind of been telegraphed. Trading Kyle Duggar, trading Anthony Jennings. I guess maybe if they move on from Keon White, but no, we're still waiting. It's pretty rare for teams to start making cuts. I was surprised we got the 14, frankly. It's pretty rare for teams to start making cuts until that Tuesday. So
you think a lot of them will happen on Tuesday?
Yeah, I think we'll hear most of that on Tuesday. Okay. Maybe Monday night you start to get a couple.
Okay.
I mean, teams are still playing too, so they're going to look around the league, see who becomes available, things like that. After tonight is where it really ramps up.
Tommy DeVito an option for the Patriots? I think Mike Reese talked about that today in his Sunday notes.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not super into the idea of Tommy DeVito. They need a third quarterback, and that could be on the practice squad. It doesn't have to be on the 53-man roster, but you want a scout team quarterback. I guess if they liked what they saw, he does have some starting experience. Kind of same idea with Josh Dobbs, a little bit younger. I could see it. I'm not super wowed by Tommy DeVito, but it would make sense.
One cut you mentioned in the break, I think it was Shiloh Sanders from the Bucs.
Yes.
There has been some strange, I don't know if I should call it strange, but there's some Shedeur Sanders warriors on Twitter that they defend him at all costs. I don't understand it. I don't know why you would go near this kid with a 10-foot pole if you're an organization. I don't get it. He does he have skill and talent? Yes, he does. But his attitude is in the garbage to me. He cares about being a celebrity. He cares about all these extracurricular activities. He doesn't seem to care as much about being a quarterback. And based on his production in college and what he did in terms of winning games, I'm out. I don't understand. Now, should he have gone in the 5th round? Probably not. That was probably way too low. But if you think that this was he's getting a raw deal or the entire NFL is conspiring against him, I think that's crazy. And I think he has his head in the complete wrong place in terms of being a quarterback and the CEO of an offense from an on-field perspective. Do you disagree with that?
I mean, I think he's an NFL quarterback prospect. I thought the top 5 pick conversation was too high. I think 5th round's too low. I think he has some tools you like working with. Like some of what you saw, he had that great game, I think it was against Carolina in the preseason opener, where you saw some of what he does well. The game yesterday, the thing I keep going back to is, and this was his problem at Colorado, and the line wasn't great at Colorado, but it's something you got to deal with. He doesn't step up in the pocket. He doesn't manipulate the pocket to kind of find holes. He just keeps drifting back, and he could do that in college because he's more athletic than everybody on the field, and he just had a ton of speed at wide receiver, and he could just throw up these deep balls. You can't really play that way at the NFL level. Like, players are just too good. It's something Caleb Williams struggled with as well last year. So, like, you see the warts. He's not a polished prospect. I understand why they're going with Joe Flacco to start. Well, I don't understand why they've done anything they've done at the quarterback position, but to be where they are, like, I understand why they're going with Joe Flacco at the start of the season. I wouldn't cut Sanders. I'd keep him. I'd keep Gabriel. See what you have. Odds are you're going to end up with the top pick next year anyway, and we'll see if Arch Manning comes out or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he's a lightning rod. His personality, I think
it sucks for
being
a quarterback.
Deion's son. I think he got it. I think there's more put on that than maybe there ultimately is in reality because he's Deion's son, and he's been in the spotlight because of that. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think he hates being in the spotlight. I think he likes it, but he's just been a lightning rod since he started off in college. And, I don't want to hold that against the kid from a football standpoint, but I also think objectively looking at what he's done on the field, like we talked about with Drake May, like there are flashes, not nearly as much as Drake May or a first-round pick. There's a couple flashes, but he's just got a long way to go to be an NFL quarterback. And I think it's too soon to cut bait. You work with him, you see what's there, but he's got a long way to go.
Sure, he can mature, but I'll take Cam Ward and his mentality every second of the day over what I've seen from Shedeur Sanders.
Well, Cam Ward's also just a better quarterback.
He's a better quarterback, but I'm talking about from a mentality perspective. I think he gets it. His head is on straight. That's what I want. I never, ever want my quarterback to produce a rap song. Ever. Not my quarterback. It's just an endeavor that they don't need to do. I just think that's a distraction. There are a million distractions, but that's one that I'm not into. I don't want my quarterback, I'll be honest with you. I kind of like the fact that Drake may get married. I think that's a good thing. I think he's going to be less distracted now because somebody will keep his ass in line. We heard this from Jack Nicklaus back in the day. How his wife would get, not that Jack, I don't know, but he said his wife would keep him in line, would keep him focused, would keep him grounded. I am a big supporter of that. I just want my quarterback to be a grown-up, and I've heard that from Cam Ward, and I've heard that from Drake May, and I've heard that from some of the young prospects, not from Shedeur Sanders. So I don't think it's unfair to criticize what Shedeur has brought in terms of his attitude towards being a professional and playing the position. That's all.
Yeah, I think with anything, it's just time management. Yeah, you obviously want the face of your franchise to be somebody who's mature and can handle themselves. Joe Burrow's not married.
No, and
he does some stuff on the side, and all these guys have their side projects. Yeah. As long as it's not getting in the way of what you're doing, like if Shedeur put out a new song today, after that performance last night, I think there'd fairly be some eyeballs on that. If it seems like by all accounts he's kind of put that stuff away and focused on camp. As long as it doesn't get in the way, my whole thing is, if you're showing up and you're performing and you're putting the work in, I really don't care what you do in your spare time. I really don't.
Right, but are you showing up and putting the work on? Right.
So Sanders has room to work. We'll see if he actually puts the work in or if he goes at, it's not like we've seen him a ton out and about, unless I missed it. I don't follow the pop culture side of this very well, so maybe I've missed it. But he hasn't put out a new song recently or anything like that. We're not seeing him out partying.
Fine.
So
what's the work ethic? I want you obsessed with football. That's ideal. Johnny Manziel, not obsessed with football. I want him obsessed with football.
Johnny Manziel's the other extreme with this. Johnny Manziel absolutely let the other stuff get in his way.
That's what I don't want. So that's a big part of the evaluation. That's why I am high on Drake May, because I do think that's a big part of it. I think he gets that part of it. And
I think Drake May has the franchise quarterback mentality.
Yes.
The talent has to come with it, obviously. But I think he has the mentality.
Give me the Lamar Jackson attitude. Mahomes. Why do you think they've been so successful? They are locked in. They understand how to lead. They understand how to work. That's what works. Jackson, Mahomes, obviously Brady, Manning. They're all the same.
So nobody cares, work harder. That's great. Love that.
Oh.
That's the apex.
Yeah, and you can and there could be things about somebody's game you don't love. But I feel like that is something you have to have as a quarterback.
If you're not willing to put the work in, you're not going to get there. Period. Full stop. Anybody. If you're not willing to put the work in, however much natural talent you have. I don't want to sound too much like a motivational poster in a gym coach's office. What's the Vince Lombardi line? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard or whatever. Yeah. At the NFL level, you have to put the work in. Shedeur Sanders is not a finished product. Anybody who says he is not watching what's going on. Anybody who says he has no talent also is not watching what's going on. He's got to put the work in. Let's see if he does it, whether he gets an opportunity to do it in Cleveland or somewhere else. We'll see. He's going to face some adversity here. He's not going to be the week one starter. I don't even know if he's going to be the first guy to step in for Flacco. They took Dylan Gabriel earlier. Gabriel was banged up early in the summer. He's made some progress here. Let's see how Sanders handles that. If he puts his head down and works, he does have some talent to fall back on. If he makes a big deal about it and kind of shuts himself off, well, that's not going to work for anybody.
617-779-0985. Let's get a headlines. No commercials, right, Jeff? We're not going to take a break here. No commercials. We'll be right back. When we get back, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Cowboys documentary on Netflix. It's excellent, and how it relates to the Patriots. Why should we give the Patriots a little more credit based on what I've been watching? Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
From the Telstra Time Studios, WBZ FM and HD1.
It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Beasley Media Group Station.
Essential Sports Hub headline, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Red Sox, a game away from a sweep of the Yankees in the Bronx. That's after they won 12-1 yesterday, including a 7-run seventh inning. Garrett Crochet got the win in that one. He allowed 1 run through 7 innings. Series wraps up tonight with the Red Sox going for the sweep. 7:10 first pitch from Yankee Stadium. Dustin May gets to start for the Red Sox. Carlos Rodon will be on the mound for the Yankees. It's the final day of the NFL preseason. The final day of the NFL preseason was yesterday. Patriots played their finale on Thursday. They've begun roster cuts. They need to be down to 53 players by Tuesday at 4 p.m. We'll have updates on Patriots roster cuts on 985thesportshub.com. Some other moves around the league today. Minnesota has traded quarterback Sam Howell to the Eagles. The Vikings then signed former Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz. Also, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are reportedly waiving safety Shiloh Sanders, the son of Deion Sanders. College football season began yesterday, week 0 slate. That included Iowa State beating Kansas State 24-21 in a ranked matchup. Hawaii came back to beat Stanford 23-20. And in the Tour Championship, final day of play, and it's close atop the leaderboard. Patrick Cantlay and Tommy Fleetwood tied at the top at 16 under. You then have Russell Henley at 14 under and Keegan Bradley at 13 under. Those players start teeing off at the bottom of the 1 o'clock hour. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the 99 Restaurants. Visit the Nines the day after the Red Sox win and get a free kids meal with every adult entree purchased. You've got to love the Nines. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update is at 1 o'clock.
New England plays here.
Ball down the right side. There's a separation. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
No matter what team, no matter what player, no matter what coach, no matter what game, it all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
The Sanders and Drake May. First of all, on Sanders, okay, he's gotten 14 reps. He hasn't had any chance in Cleveland so far. So the fact that he had an unbelievable first game and he had a mediocre second game coming off an injury and having almost zero reps, how can you? And he's put a ton of work into it. So I have no idea why you're down on this guy when he had no line with Colorado and killed it. Basically, should have been a Heisman last year. And as far as Deion goes, he's historic. Like nobody's done with him. Bo Jackson and Jim Thorpe will play 2 sports because athletes today would never ever make that kind of a all-out commitment. There's plenty of athletes that could do both, but the fact that Deion was a stud at both, they act like this guy all of a sudden Deion's the bad guy. No idea. In the NFL, and you heard it from the LA game, there absolutely could have been a fix in this thing. And we've had Hall of Famers from the NFL claim that it was by the NFL. So I'm not sure why you're giving this kid a bad rap. He's, 24 years old? I mean, come on.
Well, I don't really. I mean, listen, I'm just going off what I see. He appears to be interested in other things outside of football. That's fine, but that's not what I choose to believe in terms of what my quarterback needs to be in terms of how he's going to lead the football team. I don't like the fact that he's interested in extracurricular content creation. I want him obsessed with football. I don't like the fact that he's confronting a reporter, okay, because the guy's written some things that weren't nice, and he's a rookie, and you've done nothing in the league, and you're getting in the face of a reporter, even if it was somewhat tongue-in-cheek. I don't like that. Take that, use it as motivation. I don't need him to be super outspoken. I don't like the video of him asking Cam Ward if they want to do a TikTok together or whatever that was. That rubbed me the wrong way. So I just feel like his head is not in the right place, and he's too interested in other things other than football. That's it. That's why I'm down on him. I'm not saying he should be kicked out of the league. I don't think he should have been a 5th-round pick, but I'm down on him. I think the quarterback needs to set the tone. I mean, look, Rob and everybody in New England, did you not study what we just watched? Well, not just, but the 20 years of Tom Brady. The damn guy set the entire tone for the organization. The Patriot way, the work ethic, the discipline, everything about the Patriots was Tom Brady. Not Belichick, not anybody else. It was Brady. He set the entire tone for the organization. That was the standard, okay? If that's what it is, why would I want Shedeur Sanders interested in other things? Brady was obsessed with football. This kid doesn't appear to be, and that's why I'm down.
So look, I'm not super into influencer culture, but like Brady being the standard is tough because he's one of one for a reason, and it's another generation of athlete.
Sure.
These kids are coming up in the NIL era. They're coming up in the TikTok era. There are other quarterbacks, good quarterbacks, that have hobbies outside of football that make it work. Again, my thing is do rap albums. I know there's some guys that do, like, is Joe Burrow's really like fashion or something, right?
Sure.
You know, Mahomes is bought into some sports teams and he does some stuff on the side. Like, go ahead and do it. If you're showing up on Sundays, and you're really during the week and on Sundays, and you're doing what you need to do, and you can put in extra work in that, it's just time management. That's all I care about.
Mahomes buying into sport. I mean, that was after he made it. He really.
All the more reason. Like, there's a lot of guys who make it, and that's when so this is where it's different. In the past, nobody cared who you were in college, and even if they did, unless it was very under the table, like, I'm not going to be naive and say college players weren't getting paid, but you didn't have these guys getting these major brand deals in college because they couldn't.
Right.
You were in the NFL, you made it, and then the question was always, this guy made it. Like, let's see how he handles the fame. He's going to get brand deals. He's going to get media opportunities. He's going to get this and that. Let's see how he handles it. That's now happening to these kids, 18, 19 years old. Some of it younger. Some of these kids get the attention in high school with the way this NIL works now. And so that thing comes earlier. Like, they've all, in a sense, at this point, if you're a star college football player, you've, in a sense, made it. Okay, you made it. You have a shoe deal at 18 years old. You have a music deal. You have whatever you have. Can you balance that in football? Like, just like any of us, it's time management, right? If Sanders puts the work, because again, he does need to improve. No quarterback comes into the league ready. If he actually puts the work in and does the improvement and improves, I don't really care what he's doing on the side. Go for it, dude. If he's putting out album after album after album, and he's still not learning how to he's still not showing he can step up in the pocket correctly, then yeah, there's going to be questions about that.
Yeah.
It's all about results.
I just don't think you can do it. I don't think you can do all those things and still be elite in a hyper-competitive situation like the NFL. I think you have to be obsessed with football, and that's not going to change. I understand that they have more fame, but fame makes it harder. Now, maybe if you're saying everybody's famous now that comes in and plays quarterback because of NIL and all the different
They kind of are.
Okay, fine. But I still think those that are obsessed with football have a huge football advantage. I mean, even look at Tom Brady. And this isn't an opinion. I'm just speaking about facts, things that happen. When they won 3 Super Bowls, he wasn't some celebrity quarterback. He grinded. He worked hard. He won the parking spot. They won 3 Super Bowls. After you win 3 Super Bowls, you go undefeated, you become this ultra celebrity. He's dating models. He's got deals. He's getting married. What happened then? They went 10 years without a championship. These are facts. Okay? Then what happened? It felt like he recommitted himself to the game. Now, obviously, this isn't the only reason they won Super Bowls on the back end, but he recommitted himself to the game. He was more, I don't know, he had gone through the period of 10 years where he was a celebrity, but they weren't winning. He recommits himself physically, emotionally to the game, wins 3 Super Bowls, ends up divorced again. Now, I'm not saying he neglected his family, but we all know facts. Reasons they got divorced. Why did they get divorced? Giselle was not happy with the amount. She wanted him to retire. He wouldn't. He was completely married to the game, which is what you have to be to achieve the things he achieved. Okay? I just think the quarterbacks, if the more obsessed you are, it's not good for your personal life. It's not good for being a father or a husband, but for quarterbacking, it's good. And the more obsessed, I mean, I don't want to say I don't care about my quarterback's personal life. I do. I hope Drake May has a wonderful, happy, long marriage. But I want him obsessed with football.
I just think you can be, and again, Brady's an anomaly.
Yeah.
That's part of what made Brady great. Yes, ideally, your quarterback locks himself in the stadium 24/7, is watching film, is watching out, is throwing to receivers. It's just not realistic.
I know.
So, to me, especially in the modern era, where, again, these kids are famous so much younger than they were before, it's just, can you maintain that level of focus? Is football the number one priority? Maybe you have other things going on. Are you just putting the work in that you need to put in? And Sanders is starting behind a guy like Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward brings more to the table, just to go back to that one. You got to work a little bit harder. Yeah, is he willing to do it? Yes or no?
I don't think that's disqualifying. I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. I think he gets a lot of support with Philadelphia, and the weapons have helped him, obviously. But, I mean, I'm sorry. For not 1 second do I think that football isn't the number one priority for Jalen Hurts. And I think that's a big reason why he's successful.
And he has his hands in a lot of things outside of football. He's somebody he has the bandwidth, and he's figured out how to manage it all.
Okay.
Not everybody can do that. Like, that in itself is a skill. He's figured out how to do it, and he deserves credit for that. Not everybody can be like that. If you want to win a Super Bowl, maybe you can live that way. For some quarterbacks probably can't, and then you got to decide, what are you spending less time on? You're going to spend less time on football. You're going to spend less time doing media appearances. You're going to spend less time with your personal life. What are you going to do? Like, it's just the choices you got to make.
Yeah, and it's tough, and I don't envy that position in terms of what they have to deal with and how hard they have to work, and it's such an ultra-competitive industry and all those things. I do like Drake May in that spot, though. I do think his head's in the right spot, right place, and we'll see if he can figure out the things he needs to figure out. I got sidetracked. We're going to get into that Cowboys comp when we get back, because that documentary has been fun, and it's telling, and I think it relates to what the Patriots obviously went through. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth. Let's go back to the phones. Jake in Andover is annoyed with me. Hey, Jake.
So, okay, listen. You just went on a 15-minute rant on why Brady was obsessed with his life in football. So, by that standard, Manning sucks, Montana sucks, Roethlisberger sucks because they had a life outside of football, okay? The reason why Shedeur Sanders is annoying is because he's doing these things, and yes, he's not proving to love football. Johnny Manziel, another perfect example. Baker Mayfield was kind of that example. But the fact that you're trying to hold every single quarterback to this Brady there is no other psychopath like Brady. If I asked you right now, Mark, why don't you have your own radio show and you're a fill-in guy? Are you obsessed with being a radio host? If you're not, then you're bad at your job. Why aren't you training 5 hours with Felger or Maz every single day? And why are you not a radio host? It's the same application. You can have a life outside of it. Brady is not the norm, so stop holding anybody to that because that's why he's the greatest. That's why Wayne Gretzky was the greatest. That's not a universal standard. So stop bringing it up.
All right, that's fair. And I would say I think maybe one of the weaknesses that has taken place in my own career, I have seen people that have been willing to do whatever it takes to get jobs and move places and do things. And even though I did that, maybe if I had done more of that or was willing to go elsewhere at any point, at any moment, maybe I would have climbed higher. And I don't know. So Jake's right. And it's stupid to hold people to Brady's standard. However, I can still look at the standard and say, this is what I like, this is what I take. And Manning was obsessed with football. Look, everybody's trajectory and what they experience is different, but I still think the maturity and the ability to prioritize is something I want in common, and is in common with the best quarterbacks that we've seen in the last 25 years. They're focused solely on football. Maybe not to the level of Brady, but that's their number one priority.
Yeah, look, you've got to be obsessed with it, with the craft in order to perfect it. There are top quarterbacks in the league that do have other interests outside of football that are public, and Joe Burrow's doing okay. That's the one I keep going back to because I just saw something on Twitter about him doing some fashion thing that he does.
What fashion thing? What does he do?
He did like Fashion Week or something. I forget. He has something involved there. But a lot of these guys, I think that's just these guys all have a life outside of it. It's how you balance that with, do you feel like you're putting enough work in to get better? Shedeur Sanders, like any young quarterback, right? The maturity level is always a question. Is he going to show up and put the work in, or did he get drafted and it's life dream fulfilled? And it's any player, not just quarterback, really. He got drafted, life dream fulfilled, and it's going to fall off a little bit. He's got some work to do, like every quarterback in that class did. That was not a good quarterback class, like every quarterback, period. There's no such thing as a perfect prospect.
Yeah.
I don't really care what he's doing, whether he puts the work in or not. For me, it's did you put the work in, yes or no? If the answer is no, whatever you're doing instead is irrelevant to me.
Okay.
It's just, did you put the work in, yes or no? And that's true for any player.
So I'm watching the documentary on the Dallas Cowboys, America's Team or whatever on Netflix right now. It's great. Obviously, I'm from that era. I was a little young for when they were dominant, but I remember. I mean, everybody had the starter jackets when I was at that age, and I remember the Cowboys being America's team. Whatever. Just because this isn't why I was bringing this up, but just because we're on it, there's a point in that documentary where Jimmy Johnson is talking about. He says, "I don't really have any interests outside of football. Like, I don't really have many hobbies. He likes to fish. He loves football. He even this was stunning to me when he took the job with the Cowboys." And he realized what opportunity he had in front of him. He divorced his wife of 26 years because he wanted to solely focus on the foot. Now, I don't know what else was going on. That was crazy to me. But
that's a story that's being told however many decades later.
Right. I'm not saying that's what it needs to be. I like the fact that Drake May's married. I'm just saying that's what he did, and that's what happened. But I love this documentary. I love the look, and by the way, I was thinking of this too. And I know you have to be patient, but this is perfect in terms of the timing for a documentary. This is what the Patriots didn't do, and I understand Robert Kraft wanted to, fast track it. but 25, 30 years later, they don't have the footage of The Last Dance. But they've got a lot of footage. NFL films, they got a lot of good behind-the-scenes footage. It is excellent. They're doing a great job outlining how bad they were at the start of the Jones-Johnson era, the end of Tom Landry, the 89 season. They were 1-15, and how they built it up, the Herschel Walker trade, how they built it up, how they hit on draft picks, which we got to get to in terms of the Patriots, Mike Reese today, how they built it up and became the Dallas Cowboys, that 92 NFC Championship game against the 49ers and the rivalry that they had there. What's a credit to the Patriots is how fast, and I'm just getting to this part of the doc, how fast it eroded. And keep in mind, I didn't even know this. Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones were college roommates. They played college ball together at Arkansas. Yep. So they had a history. It's not like they just came together as a business partnership. They had a history, and they still found a way to quickly deteriorate their relationship because of who got credit when and how they get credit. That's crazy to me. And when you juxtapose that to what the Patriots were able to do and how Robert Kraft was able to keep them together for so long, and Brady, obviously, his mentality had a hand in this. It's amazing that they lasted as long as they did. Credit to all three of them. Brady, Kraft, then Belichick would be third. But credit to all three of them for staying with it, for continuing to be in a partnership together, even when it got hard, because Dallas couldn't do it, and they were great. Who knows what they could have done had Johnson stayed on longer and had he been the coach there for a decade plus. We'll never know. Let's get another call. Dave is in Weston. Hey, Dave.
Hey, guys. So Tom is one of one, obviously, right? And so when you look at the guys right below him, or the guys that people think are right below him, like you mentioned, Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was in every single commercial possible during his playing days, right? And he ends up with really one Super Bowl. You give him the second one, but he should have had more. He had good teams. And then Aaron Rodgers is so narcissistic that no matter how much he put into the game, he was probably putting more into himself. And so, how focused was he? Tom was focused, period, and that was it, right? And so the thing that bugs me about a guy like Sanders, and people giving him crap like, oh, everybody's picking on him, they're setting him up for failure, all this. How many other fifth-round draft picks have an entrance like he has, that he's got a separate guy with this big, huge cane and a boombox, and he waits for somebody to have their recording ready, and then he makes his entrance? I mean, he's a fifth-round pick that may or may not even make the team. How have some of the veterans not taken his head off at this point?
I understand, your brand, you have a personal brand. Everybody has it, like you said, Alex. I just want your quarterback to be completely focused on football, and that the other stuff will take care of it. At least if you're going to have the other stuff, Peyton Manning, like he just said, have it come because of football and what you did as a professional and as a quarterback, because you've had all this success. And then if you, like what Brady did, if then it gets a little bit murkier, fine, but I'd rather you have the success first.
Again, in the NIL era, and in the social media era, a lot of these guys are going to come into the league feeling they've had that success because of what they did at the college level. And you could argue Shedeur didn't have as much success at the college level as he should have. That's another conversation. Dad didn't give him a lot of help with that roster is the biggest thing for me. But to your point, it'll take care of itself. I think one way or another it takes care of itself. Like the caller said, have they not taken his head off if he's acting that way? Based on kind of what I've read, there does seem to be a subsect of the locker room that supports him and wants him to be the guy. Either he's going to start performing better and he's going to become the starter and win games, or the boombox is going to go away. Like it's not an indicative environment, or it's not an environment indicative of, all right, well, we're going to let you keep acting like this if you're struggling. Because at a certain point, it just would become embarrassing. Like for his own sake, I think his people would get in his ear and tell him to stop doing it. So I'm a big winning cures all guy. If you're winning, you're lasered in on focus, you got 3 or 4 businesses on the side. If you're finding out a way to make it work and win, nobody's really going to care. There are guys who have been laser focused on football, Mark, who sucked.
Sure.
Mac Jones is pretty focused.
Yeah.
Mac Jones seemed pretty focused, and that didn't work. That's why these conversations bug me so much. Winning cures all. He's not good enough right now. He has some natural tools to get better. Is he going to put the work in? Yes or no? If he does, yeah, he's probably going to be pretty showy. But if he's winning games, nobody's going to care. If he doesn't put the work in, or it just doesn't come together and he sucks, We're not going to see that much of him for that long. Teams won't keep him around just for the novelty of him being Deion Sanders' son for that long. I'll give you another example. A guy that's right on the precipice. And it's going to be real. I don't know how big of a college football guy you are. I'm fascinated to see what it's going to be like when this kid comes in the league. If you give me like 30 seconds here to bring up a college football take. If you're familiar with Dylan Raiola, so for people who are listening who may not know that name.
Arizona? No.
Nebraska.
Dylan
Raiola.
He looks like Mahomes.
He doesn't just look like Mahomes. Okay. He loves Patrick Mahomes. Same haircut, same sunglasses, his mannerisms, his quarterback mechanics, everything about it. And it's kind of become, he's the number one recruit in the country. So there's something behind this. He's not just some random kid that's doing this. His dad played in the NFL.
He was like a 5-star.
Number one recruit in the country, like the 5-star.
Okay.
His dad played in the NFL. He has a relationship with Matthew Stafford through his dad, but all he wants to do is be Mahomes. Wears 15, team wears red and white. He's got the headband. He's got the gear, the drip. It's all the same thing, right? And last year there were mixed results. He showed some flashes, but he kind of sucked at times. And the question going into this year is, how much can you really try to be little Mahomes if you're going 500 every year? One of two things is going to happen. Either the 5-star stuff's going to click, and it's going to become this story about this kid handles himself the same way as Mahomes, down to a T, and he's winning like Mahomes, or this kid's ridiculous. He's trying to be Patrick Mahomes. He sucks, and he's going to lose the starting job, and he'll go out it'll go out the window. So Sanders, it's just indicative of the new NIL social media era. I'm telling you, Raiola is going to be around the same thing. Whether or not he's good or not, we'll see. But like, this isn't just Sanders getting all this attention for kind of being showy. It's not just him.
Well, look, I mean, it's a fail-safe. Even if you don't make it in football, you can have this brand and have all these followers.
That's what some of these guys are doing too. They're trying to set themselves up for life after football. Do you know, like, Kurt Benkert, and Kurt, not that he was like showy, but Kurt Benkert was like a 3rd-string, 4th-string quarterback. He wasn't very good, but he would like, he was buddies with Aaron Rodgers, and he'd chirp people on Twitter and this, that, or whatever. And somehow, along the way, he became like a Madden streamer. And now he's one of the biggest Madden streamers. He's made a career out of that. Even though he wasn't very good in the NFL. He barely played. I don't even know if he threw a pass in an NFL game.
I've never heard of him. It's the greatest platform in the world, though. It feels like all these guys that played even for a minute in the NFL have all these doors open. They could be in the media. They can have a podcast. They can do he could be a streamer, whatever. And I get it. That's fine. The word on Arch Manning, he's not going to come out after this year, is he? Is that the word on it, on the street?
That's what everybody's saying.
Yeah.
Now, we'll see when that contract's staring you in the face, right, what you do. But
yeah,
apparently his family wants him to stay 2 years. Now, I think Arch Manning's overrated.
Okay.
Now, he may still be an NFL prospect, but I think the generational tag...
Not Andrew Luck?
Yeah, I don't know that he's there. If he was that good, why did Texas go to Malik Murphy over him during the playoff run 2 years ago instead when Quinn Ewers got hurt? But, yeah, he might not come out.
Okay.
And if he doesn't have a good year, all the more reason for him to not come out.
The Raiola thing, that would make me uncomfortable. Trying to be everything that Mahomes, look like Mahomes, that would make me.
So you haven't seen this? I'm going to show you some videos.
I've seen what I knew. He looked like Mahomes. I don't think I've done a deep dive.
No, there's like side by side the pregame warm up from the time he comes out of the tunnel. You know the jump Mahomes does.
Does he do this? Does he do this little thing with?
He does that. No, but he does. You know the jump Mahomes does,
no.
Where he like pulls his knees up.
No, he does. So he's copying everything.
Somebody pulled like from the time he comes out of the tunnel and going through the pregame warm-up and all of that. It's like the exact same thing.
Yikes. All right, pull that up. I'll look at that. 617-779-0985. More football. We can get back on the Red Sox. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth. Patriots going to be on the practice field later today. That is a closed practice. Media can watch, though, right, Alex?
Yeah, but these have been really going back to last week. Most of these practices, it looks more like a regular season practice. So in camp, you're going ones versus ones. You're going upper tempo, right? You're trying to evaluate the players on the field. These practices, what they've been the last few days, they're getting ready for the Raiders. Like, they're game planning. So it's starters against scout team, a lot more, not all of it, but like more of a walkthrough to make sure you got it right, things like that. They have done some one-on-one stuff at the end of practice. They've done more of those 2-minute drills that we talked about earlier, so maybe we'll see some of that. But I think in terms of the roster, the hay's probably more or less in the barn. I don't think if you're a player on the bubble, these aren't the kind of practices necessarily we're going to have an opportunity to win a roster spot. This is game prep. Like they're on to the regular season.
Mike Reese in his Sunday notes talked a little bit about the draft class from not this past spring, but the last spring, the one with Drake May. So that
2024,
was 2024. And I can't find it in the article right now.
So he basically said, I think I know where you're going.
He was talking to an NFL executive that was looking from afar, and he opined on what the Patriots had. And what did they say?
I just had it here. Where'd it go? I don't think he had any quote in that segment.
Hold on, I'll find it. Basically, the point is, the draft class of 2024 outside of May is hot garbage, trash. And they could end up with nobody from that draft class on the roster this year.
Besides Drake May.
Besides May. That is a disaster. Based on where you were picking, you had a high second-round pick, you had a high, whatever. And you have nobody you could possibly have nobody left on the roster. All those offensive linemen, the wide receivers that you selected, that is so brutally devastating for a team in a rebuild. It puts so much more pressure on the draft class this year and draft class going forward to get it right. And I'm going to find that quote.
I don't think there might not be a quote in there from an executive. But no, Mark, I see people talk about all the time the strategy for building a team. Draft and develop. F them picks. Be a trade-heavy team for agency. It doesn't matter what you do. Strategy aside, you cannot have sustained long-term success as an NFL franchise if you do not draft well. Free agency trading, the Rams did that to a Super Bowl a couple years ago, and then they didn't fully bottom out, but they haven't gotten back because you don't have that core. If you don't draft well in the NFL, you're not going to have sustained success, period. Simple. You want to talk about the strategy for the rebuild, and should they slow play it? Are they not spending enough money? This or that, whatever. It's all irrelevant if you don't draft well. Because you might get 1 year here or there. You might get 2021, where they win 11 games and they backdoor their way into the playoffs. Well, it would be nice for them to be in the playoffs. Again, don't get me wrong. The goal should be sustained success. They are not a team. I know you were upset with the Red Sox for not going all in for 1 year. Red Sox are in a bit of a different spot. I don't want the Patriots going all in for 1 year right now. Doesn't make sense. Not where they're at. You have to draft well. And in specific, you talked about the linemen. When you look at the assets they've used on interior offensive linemen, not just last year, going back, Caden Wallace, 68th overall pick last year. Layden Robinson, 103rd overall pick last year. 2 years ago, Jake Andrews, 107. City So, 117. Antonio Mafi, 144. The year before that, Cole Strange, pick 29. Ugh. First round.
Damn it.
You didn't get, and oddly enough, the last interior lineman they picked before that was Mike Onwenu, who worked out. But they've used how many premium assets? They've used, if I count here real quick, sorry to do this on the air, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 5, 6. 6 picks, 5 or 6, depending on how you want to count Caden Wallace. 5 or 6 top 125 picks on interior offensive linemen, and they still do not have a left guard. You just can't. You can't have that.
This is obviously Drake May is development 1A. That's the priority. If he turns into a stud, that's the most important thing.
Yes.
But 1B, Drake May could be the biggest stud you've ever seen. If they can't draft, they're not going to win anything.
He's not going to be able to put anything sustainable around him.
So you need to have those draft picks this year really. So I'm talking about Henderson turns into a star. I'm talking about Kyle Williams turns into Malcolm Mitchell. I'm talking about Will Campbell, at least the floor, Nate Solder.
Let's do, and Nate Solder would be great. If they get Nate Solder, I'd be very happy. If that's Will Campbell, I would. That's almost a decade of set it and forget it left tackle play. Excellent.
And he's not a Hall of Famer, but it's a good player.
If we just simply, honestly, somebody asked me, we were talking about successful seasons earlier. What's a successful season for Will Campbell? We don't talk about him. That's a successful season for Will Campbell. Maybe we mention his name at the end of the year if he gets some Pro Bowl votes. Like, we should, ideally, now I'm the nerd and I'll dive into the offensive line stuff and I will talk about him, but big picture. Successful season for Will Campbell is nobody's talking, except the nerds, about Will Campbell. If you had a rank, I don't know if you have the draft class in front of you, like the most important guys from this draft to be hits. Like, how would you, like, Will Campbell's obviously number one, right? Well, if you were to pick one player in this class to be a hit, it's Will Campbell's number one. Number two for me might be Kyle Williams.
It absolutely is Kyle Williams. They've had nothing, no production from that, from a draft pick perspective. If they could get a hit there, and again, I'm talking about Deion Branch. I'm not even talking about Deion Branch. Just give me somebody that can start and play.
Let's say like plus starter, like Pro Bowl. Maybe not all pro, but Pro Bowler. Plus starter, right? Number one for me is Will Campbell. Number two is Kyle Williams. Number three actually might be a surprise.
Yeah.
Number three might be Braden Swinson. And it hasn't necessarily looked that way this summer. If they can get a linchpin pass rusher, it kind of completes this defense.
Is that the LSU kid?
Yeah. And it kind of and I don't think it's good. Like, he hasn't looked like this. I'm just saying, like, that would be a great hit, and then probably Jared Wilson would be fourth. If they find a linchpin pass rusher, I'm working on right now, I do every year for the start of college football season, a list of, like, here's like 10 to 12 college prospects to watch as potential Patriots draft picks. Their big three needs next year right now are right tackle, receiver, pass rusher. Assuming Campbell pans out and like things can change, right? Right tackle Morgan Moses is 34. He's not a long-term answer. Wide receiver, obviously. They do need they have complementary rushers. It's like their wide receiver room. They have a lot of guys that are like good secondary pieces, but they don't have the guy's going to dictate the blocking scheme. They don't have the Matthew Judon. So that might be their big need next year. But if Swinson can maybe be that guy, and again, I haven't seen it in camp, sneaky more important player than people realize, though, if he has a chance to break out.
And I'm not even talking about Micah Parsons. I'm not talking about TJ Watt. I'm not talking about any of the... I'm talking about, could they find a Harold Landry? And I understand that Harold Landry is now on the team. But you know what I mean? When he was drafted by Tennessee, a guy like that, he doesn't have to be a star, but I felt like he was a stable presence at the edge.
So that's what but I think they have a couple guys like that. They need one step above that.
Okay, fine. You want to go higher than that? That's fine. But that should be the floor. I found that quote.
Yeah.
So this is the quote from Mike Reese in his Sunday notes. One NFL front office source has watched the Patriots this preseason, described his view of them this way: improving, playing hard, but thin in multiple spots beyond their starting lineup because of shaky drafts in recent years that have contributed to a roster that will require more than 1 year to replenish. That makes sense. Now, I like the fact he said beyond their starting lineup.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, Will Campbell's in the starting lineup. I mean, we think. So.
Well, I mean, you can't judge anything on this draft class.
Well, what do you mean?
Like the 2025 class. You can't say whether or not.
No.
Right.
They're not all. I mean,
no, that's
other than Campbell, we're going to see right away.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Kyle Williams we don't know if he's going to.
Travion Henderson's the only other guy, maybe Craig Woodson, that we'll see like significantly.
They need three. I know. I appreciate you ranking them.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the exercise.
I'll take who. Don't get me wrong. I'll take whoever hits.
Legitimate hits, whether it's Wilson, whether it's Woodson, whether it's Henderson, whether it's Williams, whether it's Swinson. Give me three bona fide hits.
I'll give you one more guy that needs to hit for their sake. This is a little tongue in cheek. The kicker.
Yeah.
And Mike had this in his Sunday notes too. And by the way, I appreciate him citing me on the kicker numbers.
He did.
But you can't blow another kicker draft pick. You really can't do it. You just can't do it. I think they're going to give the job to Borregales based on what we've seen. Romo's probably been better this summer, but based on upside and things like that, I think they're going to give it to him, but we'll see.
And wasn't in that article they talked about Chad Ryland got better when he was shaky, but then he got better. once
Yeah,
he ended up in
it's
Denver?
so mental. I think he probably just needed a change of scenery.
Okay.
Now the difference, I trust Jeremy Springer. I think Jeremy Springer and Tom Quinn, both of them. I think they have a good special teams coaching staff, and they should that's an asset.
617-779-0985. Mark, Alex, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Does he like open that?
What's in it, do you think? Do you know? Have you ever seen him open it?
I've never seen him open it. I do know some people will send him like football cards to sign. Like they'll send him like, now those look a little bigger. I don't know. Maybe there's people send him like T-shirts and stuff, I think too. But I know a chunk of them are people sending him, or maybe like they have like pictures, like, 12 by 8s or whatever stuff to sign.
Okay. He has so much fan mail that comes in here. And I got to ask him. I never remember to ask him. There's a football card of him here.
Yeah, there's a couple hanging around the studio.
Oh, I love the 93 Ultra set. He's in the old jersey here, the Pat Patriot 93 Ultra. I used to have a ton of these baseball cards. 92 Patriots.
There's another one in there. Let me see that other one.
2 touchdowns, 4 picks. A rating of 58.8. This is a nice set. I just was wondering because I always see it and he's never opening them when I'm here with him. And I just wondered if he opened them.
I mean, I think he must at some point. It's not piling up to the ceiling. Like somebody's taking them. Somebody's doing stuff with them.
Yeah. All right. I'll have to ask him. I don't remember what I was going to say. Do you have anything you wanted to say?
What are those other cards there?
No, these are baseball cards.
Those are just baseball cards?
I don't know. They're randos.
I discovered there's a store down the street from me that sells sports cards.
Where's
I thought
that?
about going in Quincy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I think it's called George's. I've thought about going in and...
You're not into it? Are you not into it?
No, I used to be when I was a kid. I still have all of mine. And my dad has some. And I've always wondered, like... I could have a card up there. It's in I think they're all in my parents' attic. Like there could be some stuff up there.
You need to be careful. You need to check that out.
Yeah, I know.
Some of them
I saw
are
my
worth
list.
Like what type of cards? What sport?
Oh, it's every sport from a ton of years. The ones I have that I am careful about. I think I've talked about this on the air before. Did you ever? You're probably a little older.
I'm way older
for this. Do you remember a game called the MLB Showdown?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I still have a bunch of those cards, and I had my team was pretty good.
Okay.
Not to brag.
I don't know what they're worth.
So I've looked that one up. Some of those cards they're not worth a lot, but they're not worth nothing either.
Yeah.
They're definitely worth more than I paid for them. I think they stopped making that in like 05, 06. So I've got like a Griffey throwback.
Oh,
I've got.
okay.
I'm trying to remember what my starting lineup was. I think I had Tim Raines hitting leadoff. I had Mark Loretta hitting second. I don't know why, but I did. Edgar Martinez, Griffey. I think I had Frank Thomas, like a throwback Frank Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I had A-Rod. I wasn't happy about it. I think my catcher was. I don't remember. It might have been Piazza. I had Carlos Delgado was in there.
A lot of throwback names.
Yeah, I liked the throwback cards. My rotation was like
52 Mickey Mantle. This one, I actually don't know what it was graded.
I know where I got 109 from. It's 206. I thought I knew that.
$12.9 million for a Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant dual patch NBA patch auto card. The new record for a sports card. It's a 1-of-1, signed by both Jordan and Kobe.
Wow.
There's a 2007, 2008 Upper Deck Exquisite Collection dual logo man autograph, Jordan and Bryant, 101. It surpassed the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle, which sold for $12.6 million in August of 2022. So it says the Jordan Bryant card is the second most expensive sports collectible of all time, trailing only Babe Ruth's 1932 World Series called shot jersey. Sold for $24 million a year ago. So I love the fact Tom Brady's gotten into the hobby. I was fascinated by his collection, his original collection. Obviously, his collection now is much more explosive, but his original collection, which featured a lot of like 80s Red Sox players, late 80s Red Sox, Dwight Evans, Roger Clemens, I think Wade Boggs. He had a bunch of those cards.
Yeah.
But I just think that'd be really cool to own a card, obviously, worth that much money. $12.9 million. You could be done right now.
I wouldn't own it very long. I'd probably flip it and sell it.
I mean, especially if it didn't have any sentimental value.
Right.
You just came across. I mean, I don't know how you come across a card like that. I don't think you get that in a pack.
That's why, I'm not a big memorabilia guy in terms of I own this thing because it's worth a lot of money.
Not a
the
memorabilia guy either.
I have has sentimental value. Or jerseys and things. I don't really get jerseys anymore, but when I used to, I still get jerseys, but I get weird jerseys now. I got into because I'm not going to Patriots games anymore, so I don't really get Patriots jerseys.
Yeah.
I started getting jerseys so I got some college jerseys. I have a Colt Brennan Hawaii jersey.
Wow.
I ended up
auto.
No,
Oh.
I just have it.
Okay.
None of these are signed.
Okay.
I have because me and my buddies wanted to see who could get the most random jersey. I have a Johnny Manziel Hamilton Tiger Cats jersey.
Was that high school?
College, Canadian football.
Canadian football.
And then I got a why can't I think of his name? The replacements, the quarterback.
Falco,
Shane Falco. I have a Shane Falco jersey.
Okay.
So I
Pretty
started,
sweet.
and then I have a jersey from
Need a John Moxon
basketball.
jersey.
That's it. I've thought about like what the next one should be, like movie or TV show. Alex Moran or Thad Castle might be up there. John Moxon would
Charlie
be a good
Tweeter.
one.
I'm not a big memorabilia guy either. I do like the cards. I've broken out all my old cards, and Card Vault is a place I love going. But I don't own a card that's worth $12 million.
I don't think you probably can't pull one out of the pack
No, I
that's
don't
worth
know
that.
if-
That's
I mean,
something
they-
that's been around for years and been
there-
sold multiple times.
There's got to be some cards somewhere that are in packs that could, maybe not 12 million, but get
Sure.
big numbers. That's what I've been told. That's not how to find. Like, that's not a healthy way of going about finding.
Joe was telling me you have to buy like the big boxes
Yeah.
of the packs and
Yeah.
go through those, and it's like, you spend a couple $100 now. You'd better hit.
Oh yeah, and that's not advised either in terms of how to make money doing that. That's your luck is
go buy scratch tickets.
It's against you. Yeah, the odds are against you. Okay, when we get back, I want your take on just real quick what Belichick had to say to Ben Volen earlier in the week and the whole North Carolina thing. Also, just out of curiosity, we'll do this right after the headlines. What's your I know you're a college football guy.
Yeah.
What's your take on how are you handling Bill Belichick this year? I'm just curious. I want to know that when we get back. Let's get to headlines. We'll be right back. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
From the Telfair Tire Studios, WBZ FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5 The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Red Sox going for the sweep of the Yankees tonight, going for their first 4-game sweep in the Bronx in 86 years. They clinched the series win yesterday with a 12-1 win. Garrett Crochet picked up the win. He allowed 1 run in 7 innings. First pitch tonight set for 7 o'clock. It will be Dustin May going up against Carlos Rodon. Yesterday was the final day of the NFL preseason. Patriots had already played their finale. That was on Thursday. They're into the roster cut period. They need to be down to 53 players by Tuesday at 4 p.m. We'll have updates on roster cuts over the next couple days on 98.5thesportshub.com. Some teams have started making moves today. That includes a trade, as the Vikings sending quarterback Sam Howell to the Eagles in a draft swap. The Vikings then turned around and signed former Eagles starter Carson Wentz. And also the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have announced they are waiving, it's been reported, they're waiving Shiloh Sanders, the son of Shadur Sanders. College football began yesterday with Week 0. That included one top 25 matchup. Number 22, Iowa State beat number 17, Kansas State, 24-21 in Dublin, Ireland. And it's the final day of play at the Tour Championship. Tommy Fleetwood and Patrick Cantlay tied atop the leaderboard at 16 under. Russell Henley at 14 under. Keegan Bradley at 13 under. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the A Voice for Mikey Autism Foundation Gala on Wednesday, September 3rd at the Cape Club in Sharon. Guests will enjoy an evening of dinner, dancing, celebrity appearances, and more. 100% of the proceeds will go to support families struggling to care for an autistic child. To purchase tickets or donate, please visit avoiceformikey.com. That's avoiceformikey.com. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 2 o'clock.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app. The 98.5 The Sports Hub app.
The Bruins, the Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Mark Dondero, Alex Barth. Alex, I just got a text from Chris Costa.
Okay.
Very interesting. And if you don't know who Chris Costa is, you should follow him on Instagram. Chris, if you're listening, I don't know why you don't have a bigger following on Instagram. His content is unbelievable. He is the managing partner. I want to make sure I get his title right. He is the managing partner and co-founder of Card Vault, and he is also Tom Brady's partner. Card Vault by Tom Brady. Chris Costa just texted me, and he was chiming in on what we were saying. 2018 Prism Luka Doncic Black, 1 of 1. It's a rookie.
Yeah.
Has not been pulled yet. That is, I guess, still in a pack.
Oh, so that is
worth at least a couple million, according to Chris. Still in a pack somewhere.
So it's not going to get you to 12, but that would be the most valuable card that is not, like, that's out there circulating somewhere.
I mean, a couple million out of a pack. And
wow.
2008 Topps Chrome Steph Curry, 1 of 1 Superfractor rookie. Not been pulled yet, worth at least a couple million.
What happens if some kid pulled it, put it in, I don't know if kids still put cards in bike spokes or whatever, but just like, right.
So the other day.
Dog ate it.
The other day, my son who's 8, okay, and I'm like watching this in horror as it unfolds. But he's like, Daddy, come here. So he has this nice, I've gotten him set up. We've gone to the Card Vault at Patriot Place. Shout out, Chris. And he opens his album.
Yeah.
And he's like, Daddy, look at this. And he's got an album here. Now, none of the cards are too expensive, but it's like, these are your centerpiece cards.
That's with
page.
Like the sheets. It's like 9 cards, right?
Exactly.
The plastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's taking them out, and there's like he's got a Michael Jordan White Sox card. He's got a Michael Jordan basketball card. He's got a Shohei Ohtani card. And he's taking out like the first page of the cards, and he's putting them in his hands. And he's like, all right, pick this one. He has me pick the card, and he puts it back. And then he like slaps them out of my hand. He's like, oh, Liam showed me this trick where you slap them out and the one you picked is the only one that's... I'm like, what are you doing slapping the cards? Like, here's your first pay. I was like, show me with some BS other cards. Some cards that aren't good. And he's hitting them out. So, yeah, you got to be real careful. These kids... I mean, thankfully, a lot of the parents now, the hobby has gotten so big. I feel like a lot of people, if they're buying their kids packs... they've at least educated them enough, or they're with them so they could see that, hey, we got to just look at this one a little more closely. But, man, that would be... I mean, if you pulled that, I don't know. I just met somebody that pulled a Kabam. I think it's Kabam. Victor Wembanyama. And these are nice cards, but it's worth like, I don't know, a thousand or and they were freaking out. And that's fun. That's what's fun about the hobby. I'm just pissed I didn't buy more when it wasn't as... lucrative as it was now, because when I was in Georgia, there were some cards at this shop I was at, and I bought up a bunch, but not enough. They're worth a ton of money now, but I digress. Okay. There's more stories I have to tell about this, but this isn't the time or the place. I'll tell you off the air. Okay. Bill Belichick the other day said to Ben Volen, an exclusive in the Boston Globe, he made a comment about in college, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's close enough. In college, you don't have to deal with an owner or an owner's son or the owner's son. I think he said the owner's son. What did you make of that comment specifically from Bill Belichick?
I don't know. I don't think it's that guarded. I think it's pretty clear what he's talking about. Who he's talking about.
Unbelievably clear.
Yeah. I mean, now look. I can't imagine ADs and boosters are the easiest to deal with, and there's boosters' sons too, and maybe he hasn't gotten fully into that world yet, because you hear some horror stories about that circle.
Buddy Garrity.
Right, but, I mean, that's... He could have said his name, and it wouldn't have been any clearer. He could have said the crass names, it wouldn't have been any clearer, so...
I'm just... Why is he taking shots? Right there? Why take that shot,
because they're just going back and forth with each other.
Aren't we past that? Isn't he over it?
He took Robert. What was the one last month? It was like, well, I took a risk hiring Bill or whatever. And he ultimately says it was the best decision he made.
Yeah.
But, like, they're going back and forth.
That was
that's just
shot,
what they're going to do.
That was another
level. That was an escalation.
Yes.
You're not wrong. That was absolutely an escalation.
I thought we were beyond. I mean, they were having shots together at the Brady roast. I know that was kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
He came back for Brady's night. I mean, maybe that was more about Brady.
I wonder how much it's deteriorated since. But and this is after the talk. What was it, last week, 2 weeks ago? Is he going to get a statue?
Is he?
I mean, he's going to. I would think he's going to get one eventually.
A little one, like something you put on your.
No, they have to give him a. It won't be as tall as Brady's because he's not as tall as Brady. It's got to be in scale. But and probably won't have his hand up. Like the pose is clear. The pose for the Bill statue is clear. But like, is it something he's going to participate in? Will it be something that happens, years from now?
So I take it he's not coming to the Bill Parcells induction.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah, probably not.
I mean, I thought at one point, I thought he might have been here.
No, but he's not going to be. I don't know. Hang on. I got to look up the schedule exactly.
I don't know. When is that, by the way? Do we even know when that is?
I want to say September 20th.
Oh, so it's coming up?
Yeah,
so
it's during the season.
He has the excuse of the season. Okay,
that's what I was going to say. It's September 20th. North Carolina will be at UCF that day.
Okay. I think when I originally brought that up, I was thinking
it's an interesting
thought. Be like August 6th.
So sometimes they do it in August. They try to do it during the season because then you do the induction on Saturday, and then you honor the inductees at halftime on Sunday. Like, the reason they've done it in the preseason in the past was guys were busy or whatever. I think that's the Patriots-Panthers game, I want to say. Steelers game.
I was surprised he went to that level of a shot in that moment.
I was surprised he went that was with
big.
it.
That was legit. That was a real one. That wasn't tongue in cheek. That wasn't. I mean, obviously we didn't see it, but that didn't feel tongue in cheek. That didn't feel subtle. That was direct.
Not. Could he be talking about the Jets? Could he be talking about being upset he wasn't hired by the Falcons or whoever? No, that was very much about the Patriots.
I just felt like we were beyond that, and they, mended the fences. And look, I still don't think, even though it was Brady, and obviously the answer to the question, was it more Brady? The answer is clearly Brady. Brady was the Patriot way. Bill Belichick, he has nothing to hang his head about. He was the one that was able to be the steward of Brady's excellence, even though it was more Brady, but he still had, no matter what you want to say about how it ended or his teams afterward, would it have helped for him to have better teams afterwards? Of course. He still had arguably the greatest individual season any coach has ever had in any sport. 2001. When you combine the fact that he made the decision to stick with Brady in the middle of the year, okay? When you combine the fact that he made the decision, or I guess we'll start with keeping Brady on the roster going into that season, then sticking with him when Bledsoe was back healthy, then creating that game plan that helped beat the Rams in the Super Bowl, one of the greatest game plans, the defensive game plans we've ever seen. I mean, the three things right there, that's as good as any coach has ever done in any one season ever in any sport. He has nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, that right there sets your legacy. And then you just did other things, even beyond that, obviously. So I don't know why he has to be so bitter and have a shot like that at this time. I just don't. 617-779-0985. I just wanted to, before we went to break, I just wanted to ask you, just to that question before the break I brought up, how are you going to approach Bill Belichick this fall? I'm just curious because I'm still trying to figure out what my strategy is and how I'm going to watch. If I'm going to watch UNC, how locked in? Do I think I'll be interested enough? Where are you?
I mean, it's great that his first game is a standalone game. It's Monday night. Yep. It's final game of week 1. Prime time, TCU. Like, that's a real matchup. They're not playing some FCS team. So we'll get a good gauge right away. They put out a mic'd up of Bill coaching like last week, I think week and a half ago, that was like, for all that's been talked about with Bill this offseason between Jordan and the back and forth with Kraft and all of that, it's like, oh, yeah, he's still coaching football. He's still doing this.
I legitimately forgot he was the coach at one point. He was coaching.
It was just refreshing to see it.
Yeah.
And, like, he does kind of seem like he's enjoying it, just based on, obviously, they're not going to put out him being miserable, but I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. Like, I'm going to follow him. The ACC sucks. So this is a real thing. If he was coaching, like, I don't know, Mississippi State in the SEC where they just don't have the resources and it's a competitive league, I'd be maybe a little more tuned out. I think that would be a situation where he'd be set up to fail. Not that I think he would take that. I don't think he's set up to fail in North Carolina. I'm not expecting them to win a national championship. There are the shortcomings there. Not only is the ACC not good, they don't play any of the few good teams in the ACC. They play Clemson. That's it. They dodge everybody else. So if he's doing a decent job, and they had the, I think, 32nd ranked recruiting class, their portal class alone, I believe, was top 10. I can pull that up during the break and double check, but like, it was up there. They should be competitive. They should be in it down the stretch. I don't think the ACC championship game is out of the question. And if he's in the ACC championship game, he's competing for a playoff spot. What great theater that would be. The greatest coach of all time. dominated the NFL for 2 decades, comes to college, everybody's written him off, and now he's in the mix for a national championship. Like, as a football story, that's awesome. And maybe it doesn't go that way. Maybe he bottoms out, and that would be fascinating for other reasons. But there is, for as much as everybody wants to focus on Bill the character and Bill the ex-Patriots head coach, Bill Belichick, the North Carolina head coach, there is a legitimately good football story in there. We'll see what way it goes, but I'm excited to find out.
Do you think he'll do well there?
I think he'll do relatively well because, again, the ACC is not good. They have an easy schedule. He's been able to bring in talent. He's done well as a recruiter. Really, all that's left is for him to coach the football team, which we know he can do. So if he hadn't had as much success recruiting, I'd be a little more down. I think he's in an okay place. Again, I don't know about national championship. I do expect him to be in the playoff conversation for the majority, if not all of the year.
That will be fascinating. I will be interested until he loses. And I'm going to be interested to start just to see the visuals of him on the sidelines in a college.
Are you going to watch next Monday night?
Yes, of course I am. I want to see the visuals. I want to see what he's like in the North Carolina blue, his demeanor. I'll probably look up his press conference after the game just to see what that's like. As somebody that has been to those college press conferences, not North Carolina, but Mississippi State when it was Dan Mullen, it's kind of a similar setup, and the coaches act kind of like they did in the NFL. So, but if they start losing, I'll get disinterested. Now, I see what it is.
If they start losing, it becomes a whole other story. Like, greatest coach of all time, can't win at UNC in a bad ACC.
I don't think they're going to be awful, though. I couldn't see them being terrible.
29th ranked recruiting class. 36 composite, which basically means not just 24/7s like the bell cow. 29th ranked overall recruiting class, but 9th ranked transfer class, which is important because he needed to add juice to that roster. In the transfers, these are guys that are going to come in and make an impact right away.
So I think it's going to be interesting, and I'll stay engaged. I mean, are we going to talk about it here? Like, that's like, are Felger and Maz going to talk about it? I mean, that's all interesting.
TCU, let's say it comes down to the wire.
Yeah.
He makes the decision, go for it, not go for it, play call, what have you, and it costs him the game.
I feel like we're going to talk about it.
Or wins something. I think it's going to be talked about. Oh, and if they start like 1-3, you don't think Felger and Maz are going to talk about Bill Belichick going 1-3 UNC? It's going to be. I remember when they fired him, and I was on with Felger that summer. And Felger goes, we're going to miss Bill. And I said, you're not going to miss Bill. He goes, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're still going to talk about Bill. There's no way he's just fading out. I didn't think he'd be this front and center, but he is still going to be on the docket. I bet you that.
I mean, I guess the worst case scenario would be, I'm hoping for the extreme. He either kills it or he's awful. If he goes, 7-3, that's kind of what you'd expect. I mean, that's good.
Can I tell you what I want?
Yeah.
What I really want? I want him in the playoff for one reason above all else. You know what other former Patriots coach got hired in college football this year? Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia's the DC at Ohio State. Right. There is nothing I want more, Mark, out of this college football season. Seriously, there's not a single thing I want more out of this college football season than UNC and Ohio State, Belichick, Patricia in the playoff. If I get that, I'm over the moon. By the way, the start of their schedule, TCU, it's a tough game, but they're home. Charlotte, Richmond, UCF.
Wait, what's the first game? TCU's
their first game.
Yeah.
Then they play Charlotte, which
Richmond,
is not good. Richmond's an FCS team, and UCS, okay. They do got to go down there. That's tricky, but he could be 3-1 or 4-0 hosting Clemson the first week in October. Think about that. Top 25 matchup, Bill Belichick, Dabo Sweeney. That's juicy.
That would be
awesome. Juicy.
That'd be juicy. All right, we'll see. When we get back, what's more likely for the Patriots, 3-1 or 1-3 in September? Going to get a quick answer to that. We're going to get into some Red Sox, too. We'll circle back on that. 617-779-0985. We'll take your calls, too. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. A little bit of everything today. I forgot to tell you that the other thing I was going to say about the cards, Alex, just real quick. Randomly in 1999, I went to MVP Sports and I bought a Tom Brady jersey. I have a picture of me wearing it in August of 2001, nice. Which is like I joke, the first Tom Brady jersey in New England was right before Bledsoe got hurt. But back in that period, I would go to this card shop in Franklin, Mass. It was called Force Play Sports Cards. Everything there was half off unless it was an insert. Or no, check that, unless it was a rookie. Rookies were full price. Anyway, 2000, they draft Brady. I have a Brady jersey. Patriots draft him. He was like living, I think, based on the history, down the street. He was in like an apartment down there. It was Ty Law's old apartment. Not that matters. But I didn't buy any Brady. I was into baseball cards, not football cards.
Oh, you missed out.
Those cards, dude. A couple of years ago, I went and bought on eBay a Beckett. You know what those Becketts are? They used to tell the prices of cards. There's a magazine that told the price of cards. I bought one from like October 2000 just to see what his playoff contenders rookie card was worth. It wasn't even listed in the Beckett. Like, I don't think it's worth like $1 million or whatever now. I don't even know if it was, I don't know what it would have been worth, but it wasn't even listed. There were other cards listed. Yeah. It wasn't, I mean, if I had just put it together, like, I like this guy from Michigan. Go get some of his cards. You're at the card shop all the time. Still to this day, burns. All right, let's go to the calls. Back to the calls. Zach is in Woburn. Hey, Zach.
What's up, boys?
What's up?
Hey.
All right, so here's the deal. All right, it's about Shedeur. Okay, and I've called like 19 times about this. Here's the deal. In college, it was him and Cam Ward, him and Cam Ward, him and Cam Ward. No one was talking about Dylan Gabriel. No one was talking about Jackson Dart. And there's a reason for that because of what he was doing on the field. Here are the facts. He won at Jackson State, turned it around. I think he lost 2 games in 2 years. He went to Colorado, took Colorado from 1 win to 5 wins to 10 wins in a bowl game, completely turned that program around, and he lit it up. He was absolutely clutch in really tight moments. Several last-minute victories, several come-from-behind victories, and that's the real. So all of a sudden, though, come draft, he sucks. All of a sudden. Kind of like a kid from North Carolina that's a 500 quarterback is better than Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, right? We've seen this before. In the Browns, he's played 2 games. He had 1 great start that everyone talked about against number 1s that everyone talked about. Yesterday, he goes out in scrub time behind a third string line that's all going to be cut. He had no pocket. He had no time. Receivers couldn't get open. There were 2 brutal drops.
So what's your take? What's the genesis of your take, Zach?
The genesis of my take is I get really tired of young black men not being able to be fancy, okay? And it offends people. This kid has been nothing but a dedicated, disciplined athlete. By the way, his tutor, Dondero, his mentor, is Tom Brady. They've met once a week and went over film. Once a week, okay? Tom Brady mentors him. He is in the Tom Brady way. He talked about it all the time. In crunch time, he needed to be like Tom Brady. And all he's done is win. That's all he's done. But all of a sudden, he's trash, and Dylan Gabriel's this great kid. Watch Gabriel's line, the line he played behind, his pocket. Watch Shedeur's line in his pocket. It's night and day. I don't understand why there is so much hate for this kid. His dad's motto is "Don't let my confidence trigger your insecurity," and that's exactly what it is. That's all it is. But yet, Phillip Rivers, Baker Mayfield, Jackson Dart can be as flashy as they want and as confident as they want and as cocky as they want, and that's totally fine. But Shedeur can't.
That's a good point. He talked about race. I don't think it's a race thing completely. I don't know how much that factors in the NFL circles. I don't know why he went in the 5th round. I'm just telling you what my reasoning is, because he feels like he's into other things other than being a quarterback. It's not a race thing. Like I said, Johnny Manziel was the same. Like, I didn't like the vibes I got from him coming out. He was interested in other things. I want my quarterback obsessed. I don't know why this kid fell to the... I mean, how are you talking about him literally as a top 5 pick and he falls to the 5th round? I mean, I still don't know what went wrong there. Something happened.
I mean, all the reports are he didn't interview well. For the record, I also don't think Dylan Gabriel's very good. I think the Browns just are grasping at straws. For the record, I don't know who's hyping up Dylan Gabriel. We can talk about those people as well because they're wrong.
He's talking about Tom Brady. I get Tom Brady's been in his camp,
so I forgot that before.
Tom Brady,
him and Brady have like a close relationship.
Probably through Dion. That's maybe his friend's son. I mean, you're going to have a relationship with your friend's son. He's won. He's been good. But the facts are the facts. If he didn't interview well, if he's turned people off, if he has had interest elsewhere and you don't think that he's the type of person that's going to be able to lead the football team, I don't know what to tell you. I don't understand why he went to the 5th round. But based on what I've seen, I am not entrusting that mentality with the leadership.
I guess it's this. Do you think he struggled because he's a rookie in the NFL, trying to get his legs under him, trying to learn the pro game and make adjustments and change things about his game on the fly that the coaches are working on him with? Or do you think he struggled because he's not focused?
I think it's more the first thing.
Okay, so then you got to give him time to see if he puts the work in.
Yeah,
and if he can.
That's why I don't
improve.
think he should have gone in the 5th round. I wouldn't have taken him necessarily in the 1st round, but he had the talent and the pedigree in college to be drafted higher than the 5th round. So I would have brought him in, let me see for myself, and then if I don't like what I see, I'll bury him on the bench or whatever. The 5th round felt excessive. But based on what I've seen, I just think he's not obsessed with football. And he's the leader. He'd be the leader of the team. The leader of the team needs to be mature and obsessed with football, at least to an extent. I know they all have other interests, but you're the quarterback, the most important position in sports. You can't be that front and center with all the other stuff going on. It's got to be about football on the team.
But maybe he is, or maybe he gets there. Like, I don't think it's fair to say off of a couple preseason games, off of when he's been there for 5 months, that he's not obsessed.
Yeah, but maybe he gets there. But you got to invest time. You got to invest money for him to be able to do that. Resources, and maybe they're not willing to do that based on what they've seen. Well, he might get there.
The Browns might botch a quarterback situation is not exactly a hot take. Like, we know that can happen. Well, I've said this before, when it comes to quarterbacks and coaches, the NFL has a patience problem. You see a lot of these quarterbacks now get to a second spot. Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and I mean, to varying levels, but they have some success. Their original team did not put them in a good spot and did not give them the time they needed to develop. So I would not put it past an NFL team to cut bait early on Shedeur Sanders or any quarterback prospect because the guy's not making progress fast enough, because that's what these teams do around the league, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. I think Shedeur Sanders, that like to say, like, I don't think he's the level of focus I want, I think it's entirely too early to tell that.
I just, as a rookie, to have that level, as Jackson Dart, I know he's a little eccentric. I don't know anything. Maybe I just don't know. Is he distracted? Is he into other things off the field? Does he have other projects he works on? Was he doing stuff at Ole Miss I don't know about? What's his deal?
He was at Ole Miss. You talked before about...
I know he has like the chain or whatever he wears during the game. I don't know if he's doing other things. I mean, Shedeur Sanders on the record, that video I couldn't get out of my mind when he was trying to get Ward to do the TikTok thing.
So Shedeur Sanders just always going to be more visible because he's Deion's kid. And because he was one of the first big NIL era, TikTok era athletes, like, he's always going to be more visible. These other guys they might be doing stuff behind the scenes that you just don't know because you don't see it. Doesn't mean they're not doing it.
Perception is reality. So you got to impress the NFL. Something about what the NFL.
Let me ask you, how much have you seen Jackson Dart focused on football?
None. Perception is reality, though. Like, something turned off these NFL
But
executives.
then it's impossible to give guys credit for doing work behind the scenes because we don't see it. And if perception's reality and we don't see them putting in the work, then it's impossible to give guys credit for extra time in the film room, extra time on the practice field, because it's not visible.
Sure. But at least I haven't seen something I don't like. I haven't seen things I like, but I haven't seen something I don't like. With Shedeur, I've seen things I don't like.
I've seen things I don't like from Jackson Dart in terms of the way he reads the field and throwing interceptions.
Okay, well, that's on the field.
Yeah.
I'm talking about off the field stuff and the things that have hurt Shedeur Sanders, the things that led him to become. I mean, obviously it was off the field. He wasn't a 5th round pick.
No, he
on the
clearly
field.
didn't interview well. I think it's more about the interview, just based on what's been reported. It's more about the interviews than maybe some of the stuff he was doing.
Yeah, but if you interview poorly and then you have the stuff outside that maybe is a little questionable to boot, that's really bad. That's really not going to help you.
Sure. But I think the bigger issue is he went in and probably, like, based on the reporting, he was a top 40, maybe not first round pick. Based on the reporting, he was a top 40 pick before he did his round of interviews. So clearly it didn't bother them that much. He said something else or didn't say something, whatever the hell happened in those meetings, that changed things drastically independent of what he's doing with his spare time.
Mike is in Boston. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys. You're kind of hitting on what I was going to say. Like, I feel like social media has a huge part of it. Like, when Brady was coming up, like, Mark, I get your point. Like, people are attacking you, but I get, like, what your point is. I have you guys on the TV, but I think social media is huge. Like, when Brady was coming up, how much did you really hear about his personal life outside of, he was, his marriages and stuff like that, but you didn't really know so much. Everyone's so on blast now with social media, even like young people, like everything's so out there. People are starting to trend maybe more into it some way, but I feel like that's a huge part of it, is that those guys weren't putting their lives out there the way that people are now for the attention and stuff. And then when you factor that with his dad and everything, like, it makes sense, but you have to be able to have like that humble side to the whole thing. And like the NFL teams want to see that you're valuing the opportunity that you're giving them. But like he probably in the interviews, I don't know, but that's probably part of it.
Definitely. Definitely. And I just, the celebrity part of it is not the way to walk into the NFL. That's just a tough way to walk as a quarterback, especially if you didn't interview well and you come off as somebody that has all these other things they like doing, they're interested in. You don't come off as somebody that's willing to grind and work and hold people accountable and set a standard and create a culture and all those things. I don't know if that was worth dropping him to the 5th round, but it's definitely something that would be a red flag for me. 617-779-0985. We're late. My bad. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports.
Sports Hub, Mark, Alex. Hope you're having a good weekend. Let's talk to Dean in Shrewsbury. Hey, Dean. Dean.
Hello?
What's up, Dean?
Hey, so I just wanted to say, just like Bill Belichick's complaining about having to deal with the owner's son, I think the owner's complaining to have to deal with Belichick's son, the coach's son.
Hey, maybe. It's obviously been documented, or at least I've heard that Jonathan Kraft and Bill, they had it wasn't the easiest relationship, I guess. I don't know if you've heard similar thing. I was just surprised. That was kind of going out of a way to take a clear shot in that forum there, and I was surprised. That's
clearly.
I asked the question, 3-1 or 1-3 for the Patriots. Week 1, home against the Raiders. Week 2, at Miami. Eventually, they got to be able to beat Tua. Eventually, it's going to happen. Week 3, at home against Pittsburgh. Week 4, at home against Carolina. 3-1 or 1-3, Alex Barth, the New England Patriots?
I mean,
3-1 or 1-3?
I think 3-1. I think the Steelers are going to be bad. Maybe not. I think the Steelers are going to be bad. The Miami game, I have that as a loss. Going to South Beach, they always struggle. The not beating Tua thing, by the way, the issue has not been Tua. Tua has not had unbelievable games against the Patriots.
He's been good. He's been pretty good.
Well, the bigger issue has been they just don't score against Miami.
Okay.
They've lost a lot of lower scoring games or games where the Dolphins kind of piled it up late to Miami. They got to be able to score in South Beach. I feel good about them beating the Raiders. The Panthers and Steelers games to me are 50-50. But they're home for both of them, so I'll lean 3-1. They take advantage of home field advantage. Mike Vrabel talked about that being one of his pillars going into the season, was that they need to be better at home, and they have been atrocious at home the last few years. That has to happen. But if Aaron Rodgers turns it around, suddenly that Week 3 matchup looks a lot more daunting.
So here's my prediction, officially.
Yeah.
Win an economical game against the Raiders. It's not a blowout. Yeah. They're in control. They have control. It's nothing explosive, but they find a way to get a win. They go down to Miami in Week 2, destroy the Dolphins.
Oh, that would be great. I don't know about that, but okay.
They destroy the Dolphins in Week 2. Things just click. They turnovers, sacks, fumbles. Tua gets hurt.
The Dolphins might be a disaster. So okay,
I'm going to say it comes to a head and they destroy the Dolphins.
I think the Dolphins are going to have a top 5 pick in the draft this year.
Week 3. Oh, so you're down on the Dolphins.
Yeah. Man, the roster's not good. The coach, quarterback, and star wide receiver all hate each other.
Yeah.
Quarterback can't stay healthy beyond a horrible offensive line. It's a core that's been together. They're ready to check out. Mike McDaniel, first coach had fired. Dolphins top 5 pick.
Patriots then in Week 3 win a close one. They find a way against the Steelers.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers comes to life late, but they hold on. They win. They're 3-0. They lose to the Panthers in Week 4. Kind of what you said. A little trap game. Bryce Young looks good. They're feeling themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Some good. Everybody's feeling good. Panthers come in and get them, and then they lose those 2 in a row, and it comes kind of crashing down. Not crashing down, but everybody kind of comes back down to earth after a home loss to Carolina and then a road loss at Buffalo. That's how I think the season's going to start. That's my take on the season starting for the Patriots. Are there any other teams that you're before we go to break, that you're not as high on as maybe the consensus around the NFL for this season?
As a Patriots opponent, or just in general? Teams
just
that
in general
I think,
around the league.
Might be letdowns. One is the Bears. I don't love the fit of Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson.
Really? See, I was higher on the Bears. I thought they were going to be better.
I wonder about the fit there.
Okay.
Now, I don't think they'll be bad. People talking about them as like a sleeper NFC pick. Let's pump the brakes on that. I don't know about that.
Not an NFC pick, but I thought they'd be better.
I could see them
What
winning
about the Commanders?
8 games.
Commanders.
They'll take a step back, but they'll still be competitive. They'll still be, they should still be a playoff team. Like the Bears, I could see missing the playoffs.
Okay.
The Commanders should be in the playoffs. Maybe they're one and done. But and then my AFC team is the Broncos. I just don't think what Bo Nix did last year is sustainable.
Okay.
Just reminds me a little bit of Mac Jones, where had the good first year, veteran head coach, good offensive line. They lost some pieces. The defense is still elite, and I don't think they'll be like horrible. But last year may have been their ceiling.
True or
they may
false?
just hit their ceiling right away.
True or false? The Kansas City Chiefs will be in the AFC Championship game again.
I want to say false, but I mean, who's stopping them?
Who's stopping them? The Chargers, the Bills, the Ravens.
So I don't think
Bengals?
I don't think the Chargers are very good.
They lost their tackle.
Well, okay, so one of those teams is going to get there. They have to play somebody, right? So the Bills and the Ravens, one of them is going to knock the other one off. Right. You assume they're not going to beat both. And then who's the other one you said?
I said the Ravens, the Bills, or the Chargers, or the Bengals, I guess. I don't know.
I want the Bengals to be good.
Yeah.
I want the Bengals to get
It's
back.
better when they're good for the league, when Burrow's in it.
They can't. They're having offensive line problems again in camp this summer, and their defense is atrocious.
Right.
So I just don't know. I think there's a ceiling. Like, I think it's going to be Chiefs and then Bills. I want to see the Ravens get over the hump. I really do. I thought adding Lamar Jackson last year was going to be the difference. Take some of the rushing work, or adding, Derrick Henry last year. Take some of the rushing workload off Lamar Jackson. I thought we were going to see the best version of Lamar in the playoffs that we've ever seen in his career. That didn't happen. I want to see Lamar get his. Got robbed of the MVP last year, by the way. Joel Embiid, kind of MVP for Josh Allen. Well, we got to give him one. He's never had one, even though he wasn't the best guy. But I'd like to see the Ravens get over the hump, but I don't know. No, it was Lamar was better.
Lamar was better, but in terms of the most valuable player, I think it was, he had Henry. Allen was a valuable guy for them. But you could have given it to Lamar. Nobody would have batted an eye. Any teams that you think are going to be better than people are saying? Real quick.
Teams that will be better than
they might not. People aren't. There's not a lot of fanfare, but you think they'll actually be better than people might think. Maybe one.
Who did I have in this? I got asked this question the other day, and now I can't remember. So the Panthers are one.
Okay, the Panthers.
I'm actually going to give you two NFC South teams. The Panthers, if Bryce Young can pick up where he left off last year, they got him Ted McMillan. The defense still isn't great. It's not going to be perfect, but I think they maybe take a step forward. And I'm a big Michael Penix guy, and I think they got him in a great situation. I think that roster continues to trend upwards. I'm not totally quitting Kyle Pitts yet. Shame on me. I'm not totally out on Kyle Pitts yet. I think the Falcons will be sneaky. Like, that division, Falcons, Panthers, Bucks, could be fun. The Saints are going to blow. Saints might get the top pick in the draft.
I think they will.
Those other three teams might all be in the mix.
Not in the Cowboys camp this year. I do not think they're going to be good. How do you think the Cowboys will be this year?
Going to be the same thing they are every year. Like, if Dak stays healthy, they'll win 10, 11 games and one and done in the playoffs. If he gets hurt, they'll be worse. Although it would be fun watching Joe Milton.
It would. All right. We got to go to break. When we get back, we'll just kind of circle back on the Red Sox, how we started the show. Mark Dondero, Alex Barth, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5.
All right, back here, 98.5, the Sports Hub. Alex Barth, Mark Dondero with you. Hope you're having a good weekend. Red Sox going for the sweep tonight in the Bronx. You feeling good about the team, Alex?
Yeah. I mean, they've won 3 against the Yankees. I know you're still kind of disappointed by the trade deadline. They've been able to work around it so far. This is big. I'd like for the Mariners to be helping out a little more and kind of pushing the Yankees further down, but at this point, like, they're positioning themselves for a playoff spot. We'll see what happens when they get to October. But we talked about at the beginning of the show, Mark, they need to prove, after they didn't do much at the deadline this year, like they have the past few years, that it feels different. They needed to prove that this year's team was different and wouldn't do the second half kind of gradual slide into nowhere. And we're here in late August, and they're still playing relevant baseball. It's been a long time since they've done that. On that alone, I feel good.
So maybe this is asking too much, but I was banging the table over the winter if there was any way, maybe it wasn't possible, to pry Vladimir Guerrero Jr. from the Blue Jays. I wanted, obviously, at the time, to pair him with Rafael Devers. Imagine you had done that, and you would have taken one of the better players from the Blue Jays, put him on the Red Sox, and maybe they wouldn't be in front of you right now, and you'd be better. I don't know. Again, my thing, I don't want the Red Sox and the people in this region. I mean, people can do what they want. I am not going to, though, be one of those people that becomes okay with them morphing into the Tampa Bay Rays. Just because they've figured out how to be cheap and win isn't good enough, and I'm not going to let them off the hook. I'm going to continue to expect them to behave like a true World Series contender year in and year out and pay what they need to pay to get the people, the players, the fill the holes that need to be filled in order to make the run that they are capable of making. And I thought they missed that boat at the trade deadline. They had an opportunity. We know they're right there. They're right there, 71-59. The way they've played, they're right there. One more arm, one more big bat would have sold me, would have spoken to me. They didn't do it, and I don't want to become one of those franchises like Tampa has been, where we're going to stay cheap, but hey, we found a way to win. We never win at all, but we found a way to win and contend and be in the playoffs and even get to the World Series like Tampa did. Now, the Red Sox haven't done that under this model, but they've gotten to the World Series. Tampa has. I don't want that to be okay. I want to still be a team that's aggressive, that gets guys, that goes and pays for big-name players, big-name talent, because when it all is said and done in the playoffs, I still feel like that's what's most consistent. I don't want to have to rely on a Kike Hernandez heater in October or Cedar Rafaela doing what he did at the beginning of July to really make noise. I want a more consistent presence. Obviously, you'd like to not have a dink. Right. You know, like Devers, he's like, the talent was there, but he was a negative presence in the locker room. I don't want that. I want a team that spends and does the things that they're doing to find ways to win, not the Rays. I don't want them to evolve into the Rays, and I don't want people letting them off the hook. All right.
I mean, I think they've already kind of gone down that road. They're digging out of it now. We'll see, but
Crochet, Bregman, there's progress, but I still need the complete package, and the trade deadline was a missed opportunity, and we're going to see how it ends. I still think it's going to bite them, but I'm going to try to enjoy it. In spots, let's try to enjoy it, and you can go for the sweep tonight. So that would be a fun little thing right there. All right, good to be with you.
Good stuff,
Good luck
man.
in practice.
Fun as always. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully I get down there, don't miss too much.
All right, man. Jeff, as always, thanks, dude. Coming up next, Matt McCarthy, 98.5 The Sports Hub. For Alex, I'm Mark. Have a good rest of your Sunday.